What we're looking for here is the precise, the least amount of exercise required. The logical place to start, even if you're skeptical, is with the least amount possible. The logical place to start is not with an arbitrary number like 20, but with the least amount possible. In other words, if one set doesn't work, you can't go any lower to find the least amount necessary. You can't do 0 sets and have a workout. If one set doesn't work, you could always go to 2. But I can save you the time and the headache. I've already worked it out. I've trained over 400 people, closer to 500 people now over the last 4.5 years. 1 set per exercise and never more than 2 sets per muscle is all that's needed. That's just the way it is. And if you're incredulous, you're skeptical, the reason for that is that you still have operative in your subconscious the childlike logic that more is better. And if more is really better, as they imply, then why not do 200 sets? Why stop at 20? Where did they ever get the number 20 anyway? It's literally arbitrary. Remember, science is an exacting discipline. There's no room for the arbitrary in science.
Hello again, IconoCast family. Physique Friday fam. It's not Physique Friday because this is a pre-recorded episode, but you'll be watching it on Friday, or like most of you bums, you'll wait till even later than that. But special occasions beget special guests, or special guests beget special occasions. But that's what we got going on tonight, guys. We got a very special guest on the show, a piece of heavy-duty history himself, and quite the bodybuilder in his own right. The high-intensity coach himself, Mr. Markus Reinhardt. You might recognize him from the intro, or a lot of content on with him training with Mike Mentzer in his later years. All the Heavy Duty 2 training video series is what it was, Markus?
Well, hi, everyone. Welcome. I train with Mentzer, and there was a video being all over the YouTube channels, you know, the high intensity training video, HIT video. It's called HIT exercise video. That's the name of it.
Oh, okay. That's the name of the video?
Yeah, it's one video that's basically cut in different sections, people using it and promoting their channels, and I think that's a great thing, by the way. I mean, I think that's an amazing thing, because I was actually very surprised to see all that happening. There's all this new sort of hype about it, and I think it's a great thing. So yeah,
the revival. I mean, it is. It's like a renaissance. It's a training renaissance is what's happening right now.
Especially when I see like kids contacted me that I guess 17, 16-year-old kids where they weren't even alive when this was filmed, right? And they are now talking about that and are fans of the high intensity Mike Mentzer theory and all that. And it shows me that a lot of kids that still have the intellect and intelligence to understand it, which is a great thing, you know.
We've talked about this before on the show, that our modern age is actually one of like an unveiling. You're either a brain dead. I don't want to just use too much of an inflammatory word, or you're someone who's seeking after a higher state. You know, you're trying to accrue knowledge to know the truth. In such an age of disinformation and manipulation.
There's too much information almost at some point, you know. So people, I guess, get a little bit. You know, they have so many different options, I guess. And yeah, there's a lot of information, a lot of this bullshit, of course, too. A lot of stuff that I see where I'm like, what the fuck did I just watch? You know, I mean, yeah. It's there.
Everywhere. Yeah, it's not only on our phones, on our social media reels. It's on the TV. You know, it's been on the TV forever. It's just more and more and more and more and more.
It's just entertainment. It's good for entertainment purposes, you know. But you know what Mike did was he put together a philosophy of training based of a proper way to think, a rational way to think, which is another whole different section that he was also very much promoting, his whole ideas of thinking, you know, the studies of objectivism by Ayn Rand. He was very heavy on that. Aristotelian thought, something that has to do with reason, rationality, truth, And that's what he really stood for. And that's very important to remember that. And he put that and he made that sort of like click with the workout program itself. From what really fascinated me, but just not the workout program, but it was the fact that he thought that way, and he helped me quite a lot with this type of thought pattern and understanding.
Yeah, it's the man who seeks after understanding. Like what we do here is we apply the scientific method. Mike did was use natural science in his thinking. And establish a hypothesis, test the hypothesis, control your variables, analyze your data, and repeat. And that's what every workout is. And we can all figure out the answers to almost everything in life by using that kind of reasoning process. You can come to the truth.
I mean, I think that when you really look at that, it's a black and white issue, whether you believe in rational scientific data or you believe in some hogwash unicorn bullshit. And that's it. It's one or the other, right? You're either a mystical of working out or you're a rationalist.
You're a mystic. That's so good.
Yeah,
a mystic.
I think that the majority of volume trainers are the mystics of bodybuilding, and it's almost like a religious cult that if you're not part of, you get looked at as like, what's wrong with you?
It's esoteric knowledge passed down orally from generation to generation.
Yes, it's what that is, right? And it gets worse and worse each year. With some other crazy exercises that absolutely have no benefit or whatever. Or I see stuff at the gym where I say, okay, well, this could be easily achieved with much safer workout, a much safer movement. Well, it might look cool. Everybody else doing it, the trend about it, everybody's doing it. So yeah, I get that part, But I don't know. It's not that complicated, it really isn't, But people make it overly complicated, I think so. Yeah.
Well, for so many, man, like overcomplicating something means that you then have to teach the person how to understand what you just said, or you gaslight them into it, or whatever the method may be. But then you have a sense of credentials, because you have all this information and you can make people believe it, not maybe even make sense of it. But
here's
how many
one
do
thing
you see that are experts with numbers or letters by their names?
So what a lot of people, when they see someone with huge arms or huge quads, instantly they believe that, of course, this guy must hold the holy grail of wisdom about how to develop these legs, for example, right? So whatever he says at this point, you don't want to even hear about why something is a certain way or why it works that way. It's just because he does it. That's all the validation they need to hear. And to look at the picture of someone having huge legs, for example, just because someone has large developed legs doesn't make him an expert in it. Just the same thing as someone that has a great haircut doesn't make him a hairdresser.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So the difference is that you can come up with all kinds of different workout programs. You can sell the shit out of your program, your course, whatever it is. But it's really not needed. You don't need to do all that crazy stuff. And I think that a lot of people overtrain, generally overtrain. Do way too much. Too many exercises, too many sets, too many frequent workouts. That's what overtraining is. Too much of something, right? And there's a certain line of where you're going to get to the point where you no longer recover from it. Now, individually, we're all to a degree different. Not a whole lot, though. I mean, it's like you can train every day, and I can train only once every month. No, I don't believe that. But there's a certain amount of frequency that I think works, and a certain amount of frequency I think is completely overtraining, like everyday workouts, especially when you are training heavy and you're already, the more muscle you have, the more developed you are, the more it's like a bigger engine in your car. It requires more gasoline, more fuel. There's a lot more torque on it, you know what I mean, on all the other parts of your body, and on your transmission and everything else, right? So think of it that way. I like to do different types of analogies about that. I'm like, working out really is a stress. It's a true stress that is, if done, overly done and too frequent, will lead to, first of all, no muscular growth at all. and even further, even worse, getting sick. Getting literally sick because you're working out too much.
Yeah, rhabdo is a thing, and it will absolutely mess you up.
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to add to what you were saying is that also high intensity training in itself is a skill. So the longer you train in this way, the longer you train heavy duty, the better you get at it and the more damage you can do every time. And you're going to train less and less if you want to progress.
Right.
I mean, but even myself,
you're right.
I'll get down to once every 5 days, but I never stop improving because what's true is true and what's not is not.
How long have you been doing it?
Oh, it's been over 2 years now.
Oh, nice.
I mean, strict. Followed the set of heuristics to its brutal ends, ran the tests every day in the gym, followed the logbooks to where they led.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Great. So, yeah, I mean, I just basically got myself back on the scene, with this whole heavy duty training stuff. I've been gone for a couple of years. I had to fight my own demons, so to speak, which I actually will put a video out about that in my channel as well. That, kind of like earlier I said to you about Vegas being a very, very evil town. And it kind of like pulled me down to a point where I was actually I was actually homeless. And it was quite a rough time, But I want to talk about this some more in a video that I'm going to put together on a channel. But for now, that's just like a reason why I wasn't around for such a long time and why I see all these new faces popping up, which is positive, like someone like you looking the way you do, doing that system. It's like, we didn't have that back in the days. There were a few people around after Mentzer passed away that were actually good, I would say, of course, Dorian was like the number one, because obviously the Olympia wins and all that stuff made it a big deal. And he was definitely the number one dog when it comes to high intensity training, heavy duty. His own version of it, maybe a little bit, but still very much Mentzer-ish,
Absolutely. I mean, the principles were there. Dorian was just able to recover enough to train with a 6 day split. He could train that frequently. Most of us can't.
More frequently.
I know I for sure as hell can't. Yeah, I think that was the biggest difference between blood and guts. And when people, Dorian's one of the biggest ones because how many people got into high intensity training because of him? I mean, how many people have you told you do with blood and guts? Well, when they say they do blood and guts, the majority of them aren't using Mentzerian principles or this philosophy of thought to come to the conclusions. They're copying his workout. And that's why they'll end up quit doing high intensity training later on down the road. Oh yeah, I did blood and guts. I was all banged up.
So when I look at the video that he did, the in the dungeon video that I saw, the blood and guts video, I think it's a great video. It's very intense. I think that for my taste, it might be a little bit aggressive on some of the movements, where I would personally probably not go as aggressive as far as speed of movement.
Momentum, speed.
Yeah, well, I hate that word. I don't want to use the word momentum in relation to Dorian because he's still very, very, very great about it, you know what I mean? But there's also some guys that are doing a very slow workout, and a very super slow, whatever it is, which I don't agree with either. I don't think it's like watching paint dry,
Yeah, that's where I would stand apart from somebody like oh shucks. His name will come.
I know
I can't slander him on the
I don't even want to talk about it because I had a problem with this dude a while ago, a long time ago. Okay. Back in the days when this whole thing started up with, I had let's just put it this way, before being homeless and going through all my demons, right? Before that part, I had my Facebook page, I had my YouTube channel, and it wasn't quite as not YouTube advanced a lot. I mean, there's a lot of new things in YouTube that you can now do, and which we didn't have back then. So I put stuff up there, and I got a lot of criticism. And one of those people was that particular guy criticizing my stuff and then putting my name out there for no reason. I never attacked the dude, you know what I mean? But back then I was a very vicious sort of like, I was very, if you fuck with me, I'll fuck with you. Like I don't have that mentality anymore. I don't really care for anyone that talks negative about anything because I don't have time to waste. I want to put productive time in what I do and improve myself and my clients and the people that I want to help. And any kind of negativity for me is absolutely out the door. I don't want to deal with it. It's dumb. It's bullshit. if you go to a gym, if I go to a gym and I've had people come up to me and there's issues, I always will walk away from that, because sometimes you get people hogging the machines. And I had a guy the other day, he was doing shoulder presses, and I was standing there for like 5 minutes. Now it's like 8 minutes. He's still doing shoulder, but he's not doing shoulder presses. He's texting his girl or his boyfriend, whatever the fuck, I'm like, so I said to him, look, how many sets of texting do you have left? He just looked at me and just walked away, you know what I mean? And, yeah, as far as I would go, but yeah, super slow sucks.
Super slow. Yeah, I would sub out some of the movements, actually, like there's things I just don't do anymore because I've realized I don't need to do them,
Right.
just for fatigue. So, I used to, years ago, I could barbell shrug, 405, 465 for working sets. Like I can row if you've seen my back.
Okay. Oh,
but
yeah.
I don't do barbell rows anymore. I hardly do anything.
Barbell shrugs or barbell rows?
Rows. I meant to say rows. Like bent over rows.
You did bend over barbell rows with 465 pounds?
Not 465, 365 and 405. I've done sets of 405 for 5 and 6.
No, that's insane. That's insane, bro.
My back is great.
That's like
very, very
Dorian
strong.
Yates style.
Yeah.
Dorian Yates that's what he was losing. He was losing 400
He did
pounds.
way more reps than I did, but yeah. But nowadays, I don't do that anymore. I don't deadlift anymore.
I barely deadlifted 400 pounds. I was like I had a story about deadlifting that I put it on my channel. I'm gonna tell you right now, for those that haven't watched it yet, but it's an interesting story. I was deadlifting and Mike was training me. This is 96 or so. Because I trained with Mike way before that video was shot. I was already training with Mike. Because I approached him in the gym at Goals in Venice, and I said to him, look, can you help me out? And I see you train Dorian, all these guys, and I want to grow, and I want to just pay me $300. And I'm like, oh shit, that's all I had, I had no money. But he trained me, and we did deadlifts at the time. And I pulled, I wanted to put 4 plates on there, right? And I did like 3 reps, very strict 3 reps. And he said, well, let's try next week and see how you progress. And I came back, I did like 4 reps the next week. He's like, yeah, that's 1 more rep, but it's not exactly what I'm looking for here, So take a week off. I'm like, take a whole week off and then come back in like 10 days. We'll figure something out right at that point. And I'm like, all right. After about 10, 12 days or so, I had food poisoning, severe food poisoning. Like I puked for 4 days straight, bro. I went to Bonds, had some rotisserie chicken that was warmed up in one of those, those well, they leave the chicken in there all day long, and it's in that heating thing, whatever it is. I ate that shit.
Oh yeah,
bro.
nice.
I was a mess. Now it's almost 2.5 weeks that I'm still recovering from that food poisoning. Mike calls, he goes, are you ready? Like, well, I had food poisoning. I haven't been able to eat anything or keep anything down, just protein shakes. I don't care. Come in the gym or make this happen now. I'm like, all right, I'll get down there. Bro, I pulled that weight up. The first rep is like, okay, that seems kind of easy. Then it got easier and easier. I did 17 reps with 4 plates. I went from 4 reps to 17 reps after laying off for 20 days. I fully recovered.
Crazy.
All right. And I had no food in my stomach.
You had been in a constant state of overtraining for how long?
Oh, exactly.
How long had you been just beating yourself into the dirt? So
especially on the lower back movement.
Let's take this moment and let's go back and let's learn who Markus Reinhardt was up until that point.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Let's get to know you in depth. Let's go from, I mean, you can go as far back as you want, but who made Markus Reinhardt up to that point? Or what?
Who the fuck is this guy, right?
Who is this guy?
This guy right here. Okay, well, I came from Germany. I'm not from this country. I immigrated from Germany in 92. I wanted to be just like, not another Arnold or anything like this. I just really love this country and the ability to have the chance to really live my dream as a bodybuilder. I figured I'll probably be on a magazine cover, or I didn't think of winning a major show or Mr. Olympia, but I thought that I'll come here and I'll probably get some magazine exposure, and that'd be cool. I'd be happy with that. So when I first got there, I took on a really odd job as a security guard, like, Paul Bart, mall cop kind of shit with a flashlight. That was me. That was this guy right here.
Okay.
And I went to the work. Right. $7 an hour, man. Can't
Just
beat
trying to
that
make
shit,
it happen.
Right? But make it happen. And working this job all the way through the Los Angeles riots in LA.
Wow.
All the bad shit that you saw on TV.
So how long had you been in America? Like until
when this happened?
Los Angeles, like
the riots?
Yeah. How
the
long?
Riots, well, I was there 2 years, maybe 2 years, yeah.
Okay.
Because I saw this when this happened, the security company called us in to work, and they put bulletproof vests on us. And I'm like, what is that? What do I need that for? I'm like, you're about to find out. Man, bro, it was bad. It was bad. I'm talking like being a human shield, and there were all the guys that work in the security job was called proactive security. They were all bodybuilders. We were all big dudes. We all had these ATV runners, these 4-wheelers, and we were patrolling the neighborhood, patrolling. Even Venice Beach was an area where they used us to patrol behind Gold's Gym and areas like that, because there was really shitty and bad gang infested areas. So I had the worst of the worst job you can imagine. But they took me because I didn't have papers yet, whatever, just work something out, Anyway, later on, I fully got my papers, my work permit, and I started working for Palo Alto's Gym in Venice. And that was when they opened up the Palo Alto's Gym in Venice next to the Firehouse, the Firehouse restaurant, a very famous spot where all the bodybuilders go to eat. I was there and I was training people. Now I was behind the desk. I sold memberships. I was in the middle of all the good shit. Mike Christian was there. Gary Stridham was there. You see Arnold come in train.
So this was 94, 95?
Yeah, right around that time. And they were competing with the Golds across the street. I remember Gary Stridham came up to me. He goes, "Oh man, you have a good look. I want you to be in my magazine, in my clothing line catalog," which he had. He had Crazy Wear. We wear Crazy Wear was those baggy pants and that. You remember that? Those baggy pants. You're gonna be my top dog in a magazine. I like your face. I like your look. Let's go. Pay me a few $100. We shut the catalog. I was all over the catalog. Now you got magazines like Iron Man, all kinds of people looking at that because it was inside the Iron Man as an ad for his company, right?
Yes.
And next thing you know, that whole ball starts rolling, man. I get in the cover of Iron Man. I get in the cover of Muscle and Fitness. I get on the cover of a German magazine, which was the greatest thing ever because now my mom can see me.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean? Hey, Mom, look, I'm here. I made it.
I came to Germany after 5 years being here, and I picked up that magazine the thing is, I came to Germany the same month that they put me on the cover of their Muscle and Fitness version magazine. I didn't do that because I knew it's going to happen, but it was by accident. It was like, holy shit. I'm coming all the way to America and I see myself on the cover of a German magazine. That is fucking great. I love that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Wow.
So I grabbed it and I signed it for my mom, and she's all proud and stuff. That was amazing, right? So I knew that was onto something good. Whether I ate tuna cans every day and rice cakes because that's all I could afford, I mean, I was making some money at Palo Alto's Gym, but it wasn't a whole lot, And that was before social media, before the internet, before cell phones. That was, you made some money by training people. You made some money by going into some Hollywood auditions for if they needed a bodybuilder in Hollywood. I was right there, But there were also 20 other guys, even bigger. Sure. You know what I mean? And you got people like Günter Schlierkamp was always auditioning. I remember that.
He's one of my favorites.
Billy loves him.
and Roland Kickinger was always auditioning. He then got a few spots on Baywatch, and Baywatch was constantly filmed in Venice, right? So
for sure,
I thought the whole acting thing might have been cool, but I can't act for shit. I just realized that I tried some acting lessons, and it was just for me. It's like, I cannot be in front of a camera, man. I can't. If I have to say something,
Yeah, it's tough being in front of the camera.
If it flows naturally, like we're doing this right now, it flows naturally. But
when there's
with
that
the
clinical
script,
feel to it,
if you have a script in your hand, you gotta pretend like you're someone else. I don't know. I just being myself.
You got like huge cameras looking at you.
Yeah, and that part, right? And
don't
honestly,
look at the camera.
I'm gonna tell you a story right now about Hollywood. Okay, I was in Hollywood because I had that little bug about maybe something's gonna happen with the acting, and I went to an acting school, a very major acting school on Melrose. And I looked into it it was like you can sit in and then you can watch it. And if they like your look. Anyway, the main guy in there pointed me out. He says, visit me at my mansion in Beverly Hills, Bel Air. I'm like, oh, shit, awesome. Right, man. I get there, bro. The first thing is, you already know what's coming. You already know what's coming, bro. The first thing he says, well, let's see what you got underneath the grill.
Yeah.
Here, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe a porn actor. I'm like, no, fucking no way, bro. I'm not doing that. I want to be an action star, something like I remember it was like, Mike, remember Michael Dudikoff, the actor? He was like a B movie action star. I kind of thought that I could do something like that guy, maybe because it doesn't require a lot of speaking. You got to be a tough looking good, maybe even stunts. I thought maybe stunts would be cool. Why not? Except I don't want to be lit on fire or some shit like this, but I'll do I do like a motorcycle stunt or whatever. Right. But anyway, so that's the whole thing about Hollywood. You got to blow someone's fucking cock for this shit. I'm not doing that. I'm not gay. I like my straight shit. I like my bodybuilding, and not that it's any more straight than that. But anyway, with that being said, I completely stopped this whole acting bullshit. And I went back to saying bodybuilding. And that's exactly when I went over the goals. Because Powerhouse
That's
closed.
right. That's how this story was going. Mike was at Gold's Gym and you were.
He was never at Powerhouse. He was never at Powerhouse.
So you got pressured into doing some
gay shit.
Film for the Coens.
Some gay for
pay. The Coens. Right.
So film for the Coens, and then you were like, dude, I'm out of this shit.
Yes.
Fuck Hollywood.
Right. So now
I want to go train.
Right. I'm going to really go train. I'm going to get the serious attitude now. I'm going to really do something in my physique. I'm going to get bigger.
Awesome.
So I leave Powerhouse because Powerhouse closed down. They closed down the facility. And the only one that was still available was in West LA. West LA was too far. I'm not taking the fucking freeway there. It's too far. So, okay, goals to this then. Oh, back to goals. And that's when I met Mentzer. Yeah. So I met him. He's up there training all these people. He didn't just train Dorian. He trained Roland Kickinger. He trained Aaron Baker. He trained a bunch of Japanese people. There's always like 5 or 6 Japs right next to him. And they follow him. Right? And he just sits there with his pad, right? And they all work out, right? So he would work out these 5 guys in one session. Like, it would take an hour or whatever, but he had a lot of clients, right? And I'm like, here's a outside, he gets outside, goes outside and he smokes again, right? Smokes again. And then the next Japs come up there or whatever else is going on. And in between that, I said, hey man, I know who you are, I see you train Dorian, and I looked you up, and I know who you are. Great physique, and and yeah, I'm sorry about Arnold and all that shit, but Arnold, he goes, that cocksucker. I'm like, come on, bro. Let bygones speak bygones. It happened a long time ago. He never was able to do that. But so then I'm like, no, seriously, that's how he talked, and he was just like, he was always very much about very trade, everything is about trade. He wouldn't do this because he likes me or whatever it is. He said, yeah, but he would have to give him something, that's always, no matter how much money he made. And he made a lot of money, right? But I had no money. I had he wanted $300 to train. And that was, for me, that was like maybe $1,000 today for me back then. Right?
Yeah. And $1,000 hurts, no matter if you got 10 or if you got 20. It still hurts.
Right. It hurts. And here I go. So we were starting to work out, and I already knew what this is about because I watched it on when I was seeing him train people. I knew what kind of routine was about. You know, he would always do the same routine. He wouldn't be something different. Also, he would start doing dumbbell presses over there for shoulders or some shit like that. He would always do the same fucking thing, right? Which is there's no reason why not, right?
It works,
and you see some of the guys were I mean, especially, and I think a lot of when he trained, when I saw him train Aaron Baker, that's when I realized how incredible that system actually must be, because Aaron Baker was already good. But when he trained with him, he was extremely good. And I'm like, I couldn't believe how much better this guy got. Right. And Dorian, of course, too, but he was not always there. Only very rare you would see Dorian. And so anyway, so then we started training, and man, the workouts were just fucking brutal, right? You know, it's like one time we did legs, I remember that, and we're doing doing a leg extension with a leg press. And the leg press is in the second room. When you come in the Gold's Gym, the second room had a leg press by Nautilus, which had a small square platform, and you put your feet on that platform, and then you get squeezed in with like a ratchet type of device. You hit the ratchet thing, and it goes like. So I remember my knees or my ears. That's how far back that range was, right? I was with a full back range of motion, and he had me like never lock out anything, of course not. And he had me do the whole stack eventually for like 17 reps or something like that, or 20 reps, because there was no more weight of it. My legs grew very fast. And one time I got really white and like bluish and greenish. And I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom. I don't feel it. I'm like, go ahead. I'm like, I'll go there. I threw up all over the fucking ghost bathroom. And I came back out. So I'm like, I just threw up. He goes, well, and that's okay. Let's go to get some leg curls done then. He was just going. He wouldn't give a fuck, you know. I'm like, let's go. And I'm like, wow. So these workouts on paper, when you see them, they don't look impressive on paper. But once you do them, it's a complete different nature. It's a different beast, you know what I mean?
I challenge anyone to use 100% of their maximum effort on their sets and do the workout. Use 100% of your possible effort. If you do that, that workout is going to fuck you up.
Exactly. And
it's going to fuck you up. You might throw up everywhere.
Just kind of like I have a little this thought right now that came into my head. I need to share with you guys. But I sometimes, even after Mentzer, found myself moving back to a little higher volume level of training. Like I said, well, maybe squeezing this and that and that and that. You know, maybe I just, especially when the show came around, because now it's a contest, and now I'm thinking, what if I do this and this and these movements, because they're gonna shape and do whatever, make me appear differently. You know what I mean? It was like I had this sort of anxiety. Am I hitting everything? Am I doing it? You know what I mean?
Trust me, as a competitive bodybuilder, I might be able to dig into your head, and you might identify with this. But
right.
You've got a day set that you got to show up at your absolute best. So you are coming up with all kinds of ways in your head that you might be able to improve that outcome on the back end.
Right.
And adding to it. That four down, it's like, man, well, what if I added this in? Maybe I could get that glute ham tie in a little bit better.
Right.
And if I added extra volume for the arms, they might be a little fuller.
Right.
Maybe if
I didn't feel like it was enough. And the only reason why I didn't feel like it was enough, because I didn't train intense enough on my own. That's why.
Okay.
I see that.
So if I had Mentzer breathing down my neck with his speech, and he didn't scream at me in a sense, but he said things to me that were extremely uplifting. He might have said some dumb things too, like, you know, there's 10 girls in front of you with their tits out or some shit like that. He would say shit like that just to throw me off, you know. And I'm like, what the fuck? You're talking about girls now? I'm like, well, get your testosterone up. I don't know what it is, but he would say things that are extremely uplifting, and they would dig deep down into my, you know,
your being.
Yeah, and he knew how to access that level, and nobody else was able to do that. And Well, I didn't train with a whole lot of people in my life. Honestly, I had some training partners, but I always ended up being the one pulling them. I was never being pulled by someone else, you know.
We were saying this on the on last week's episode. We were going over a Mike Israetel video where he was talking about Mike Mentzer's top 10 quotes, the good and the bad with them. And there was a certain part in the video where he's talking, and we came to the realization watching this and watching the whole thing that, you know, of course he can't identify with this aspect because he's not of that kind of transcendent mind. You know, the mind that Mentzer possessed to go through and to figure this stuff out and to teach this and to make it about the basis of it is philosophy and logical thinking before it gets to this other point. Well, that's a transcendent person. That's a person whose mind it's trying to attain something greater than itself further away that it can't even reach. And I really feel like so much of what Mike said and taught, and even some of the things he says in the training video, in the HIT training video to you, it appeals to that thing that's inside of certain people. And it's like a fire that just...
Right. And he was able to access it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you talk about this guy, Israetel. I had heard his name before.
Oh.
I don't quite understand what he does or what he says. I didn't really go through any of the videos yet, but like I said, I don't have much time to really look into other stuff. I check out your stuff, which I like.
Thank you.
But I don't I don't know who he is. Who is he?
He's the owner of it's the largest coaching platform in the world. Renaissance periodization. So the underlying principles of Renaissance periodization is that you can use this system called rate of perceived exertion, and you could stop at 80%, 1 to 3 reps in reserve, do a little bit more volume, periodize your training, and that's the best way to get results. But he also, on the offhand, says, yeah, high intensity training is good, but this way is better because this way is a brand. This way is what he built everything on.
Right.
This way sells this $200 app that basically tells you to do what you or I would teach you to do.
Okay.
And if you're overtrained, you would just reduce your volume and or add in rest. And then it tells you to progressively overload.
Why overtrain in the first place then?
Right.
I mean, why not just not overtrain and then?
Well, no, that's built into Renaissance periodization. Is because you periodize. So,
right.
Yeah, right. He sells you the problem and the solution. You know, that's a guarantee that you're going to buy the solutions that you bought the problem. Right. But so what it does is every week they increase their volume until it becomes unsustainable, and then they deload.
Now you got me curious about. Now you got me curious about checking this out. And I'm not gonna say anything unless I, look through the whole thing and analyze.
Oh, don't worry.
Myself,
we've said enough. You don't need to do. We say enough, man. It's just a point of contention, For me,
I just, he works for him.
Values truth is that kind of stuff is
not
morally reprehensible. I just can't.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Okay.
Well,
got it. I understand. Okay. Well, no, you make sense, of course, but I just didn't know who you're referring to at this point. I heard the name before, and as some stuff pops up sometimes in my feed.
Oh yeah.
But
if you say the name next to your phone, it's going to show up.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you just say it out loud.
You just or the car, whatever, right? So
Yeah.
But I mean, if you wanted to talk about more what my
So
my background is. That's the whole background in LA, and when it comes to comparative background, I'm really not the guy that can tell you right now here, wow, I did this and did that, because I really didn't win much. For me, it was always about, I wanted to get a magazine. That was my goal, but back in the days, and still till this day probably, is that in Venice, there was a couple of top dogs that were being magazines. There was number one, and we all know that guy is Michael Hearn. Okay, he was always the one on the magazine. So if there's a photo shoot for a magazine, and they did a casting call for whatever it is, Mike was there already 20 minutes before everybody else, and he got the job. right?
You got the
so
job.
so when I got some leftover moves here, and I got a few covers, you know, I got the Iron Man magazine cover.
Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, that is dope, man.
I like this one a lot because it has a whole spread of me in there, like 7 or 8 pages full of stuff, you know, about high intensity training.
That is fantastic. That was the goal.
So,
that's
that
awesome.
Was the goal.
You accomplished your goals, man.
And
that's
competitively, I choose to be, or to compete naturally. Okay?
Really?
In muscle-mania competitions. Now, let me tell you something, though. I'm going to be very honest and very transparent about that. I did compete naturally in muscle-mania all these years until I realized I did a test. I did a experiment. The experiment was because the drug tests are being, you know, pee in the cup, that sort of thing. But it seemed to be a little sketchy because the people who were taking the drug test, they were like nurses somewhere, and they were in the back of the bathroom down at the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas in some shitty ass bathroom. You know, that's where we were doing the show. And I'm thinking I'm doing everything right, and I'm still placing only 3rd, 4th, 5th. What happens, you know, if I do something, right? If I just do something and it's still pee in the cup, and if I get called out and disqualified, then at least know they're actually real with that testing. And, you know, I'm making a point of actually telling people whether I'm going to be winning whatever it is or not, or whatever it is. So I did a little small amount of Vinstrol, you know, and a little bit of test or whatever. You know, I forgot what I took there. Not very much, small amounts of it, but it did make a difference.
No way. Really? I wouldn't know, man. I've been
first time it did make a difference.
5 years.
You look pretty good for natural.
Yeah, that's what they say. They always ask me if I take anything.
Mentzer used to say it to me. I don't believe in natural. I believe in supernatural. He goes. Yeah, he was just being sarcastic. He always said, "Marcus, are you on some stuff? What are you taking?" I'm like, "Nothing, Mike." Well, then get on some shit, goddammit. Yeah. That's what he said. But that was the only thing that I never really wanted to do. I just didn't want to do the shit because I was too much of a fucking pussy. Let's get it straight, okay? I wasn't a Dorian Yates or someone like you that is hardcore, you know? I mean, I was a little puss that wants to be in a fucking magazine.
Well,
I'm like,
that's just the difference.
Well, fucking great, man.
And I was thinking in my head, it's like, it's not that you're a puss. It says my goal is to be the best on a stage. And on that stage, everybody else is doing the shit. So I am not going to handicap myself.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
But I will play it, you know, as smart as I can and still
with everyone else that's watching this, I'm gonna be very honest. I think most men will not say that right now, but it takes a lot of fucking balls to compete. You got to be a fucking maniac, a fucking beast. Okay.
I turn into one backstage.
Right. I don't care, man. And I just never really was that beast, you know, to be that hardcore with himself to do it. And honestly, you know, I would sneak in a fucking protein bar here and there in my diet and shit like this. I mean, come on, bro. Who does that? I did. This guy. So, and I still got away with murder because my genetics allowed me to be still in a magazine cover. I had some really good shots and, you know, all that other shit. I was able to do that because I have the greatest genetics in the world for bodybuilding. I really do. I mean, but does my head match it? Not really. No. Maybe I could need some improvement, I always thought. But I knew that. And then anyway, so the drug tests came back negative, of course, because they didn't give a fuck about testing anybody. You know? And they never did. They never fucking did because testing costs money. They're not going to put that money into there. You know what I mean? They make it seem like it is, and that's all there is to it. At that point, I filmed myself in a video, and I don't know if I don't think it's on YouTube anymore. I filmed myself on my Facebook, right? It was my old Facebook. I said, guys, I got to tell you guys the truth. The truth is that I did the show, and now I'm placing like first. And the reason why I did that, I want to tell you guys that I did use drugs for this competition in preparation for it, and nobody ever gave a fuck about it. Nobody would test me. They tested me, but they probably threw that shit back in the toilet.
They poured it right. Yeah.
Right. And here's the truth. That's why I'm no longer going to continue with this bodybuilding natural bullshit, because it's what it is. It's bullshit. It's
bullshit.
I'd rather be just doing it for myself, and then the people that do bodybuilding, do bodybuilding. Don't worry about all the other shit, what drugs and other. Drugs is part of bodybuilding. It always will be. Unfortunately, there's a lot more involved now for it, which is bad. See how these people drop like flies these days. But it is what it is. People have pushed the sport to a maximum now, where they request or require to look like this, and they have to do what you got to do. And it's like Formula One. The cars get faster and faster. That's slower, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's everything. Everything advances. Everything advances. It goes greater and greater. And where there is competition, competition will become greater and greater and greater over time. I mean, every player in the NFL is probably taking some kind of fucking growth hormone when he can. He's taken every kind of supplement possible available to him. He is an athlete who makes tens of millions of dollars or hundreds a year.
Right.
These guys have faster times. I mean, have the Olympic world records ever fucking stayed still for 30 years? No.
Nope, it's moving up.
No.
Everything is being advanced.
Fucking baseball, basketball, everybody. 100 meters, fucking swim times.
Everything. It's a hardcore sport, and don't question about the steroids, because they're all part of it. It's just like it's just what people do in bodybuilding. It's what it is. You don't look like this. You can look a certain way naturally, but there's a big limit of being. Let's say if you're 220 pounds ripped on stage, you're on drugs. Okay. If you like, let's say you're like 5'11", 5'10", you're 220, you're shredded to the bone, like dry. You're on drugs. You're not fucking natural. There's no fucking way. Yeah.
If you were my height, you'd be 155 pounds.
Right. Well, I'll tell you.
5'6.5", 5'7".
155 pounds is that's probably
about
natural.
What you would be naturally. Yeah, that's what you would be naturally.
That's a natural.
Compare that to me, who is 205 pounds, shredded, dry, and depleted.
Well,
not even filled out.
Great. Right, that's great. Are you competing right now?
It's all back. I did a show 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks.
You just got out of it, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I'm rebounding out of it.
Are you eating lots of food, or what are you doing?
I am rebounding my diet impeccably, so I am slowly adding food week by week, and I'm maintaining a really crazy condition. I could step on stage in a week if I wanted to. Right.
That beautiful after the show when you have all that there's no more stress in your head.
No more stress.
You now can actually, if you have the discipline, right? You can actually do it because you have the discipline. If you have the discipline to do it, I'm saying some people don't. If they do the show, they're done. They're like, let's go to Carl's Jr. or go to get a pizza or whatever it is. And next thing you know, they're gaining 30 pounds back in 1 week.
Oh,
right? Or one night, whatever. So
one night even sometimes.
Yeah, it was terribly bad for you. It's probably worse than steroids to do that.
It is worse than steroids, for sure.
Yeah.
The stress on your kidneys.
I gotta tell you. Go ahead.
That was like Larry Wheels. He gained like 50 or 60 pounds in like, dude, it was the craziest, shortest amount of time. But anyway, that was horrible.
Oh, as far as water gains and prep for a show, I have a funny story for you guys that I just realized this story. I'm gonna also put it on my YouTube, but I'm gonna tell you guys right now. I'm back in Germany. This is in Germany, right? Remember, in Germany, I was already competing. I was 16, 17 years old the first time I went on stage. I was a teenager.
Oh, wow.
And Günther Schlierkamp was in that show.
Wow.
Okay. He was also a teenager. When he came into the show, we thought it was the guest poster, but he was a teenager. Okay. Now, this is what happened. So I'm doing my back, and this is 1987. Right. None of you were born yet. I was doing the last week back then what I thought to be doing a 3-day complete zero carb depletion phase of high reps, full body workouts, completely deplete. I feel like I couldn't even think straight, and then do 3 days following up to that Saturday. Saturday. So 2 more days to the Saturday, carbing up, right? And I thought This is my my mind back then. My it's like I thought that if potassium is in bananas and potassium is important to get the water distribution between the sodium and the potassium, get it right, to get more water, extracellular underneath your skin, take that out, get into muscle, and do all that shit. You know what I'm talking about, right? But doing all that, bananas are great for that. That's what I thought. But not just bananas. I can't eat that many bananas. So I bought dried bananas. Dried. They come in sticks. In Germany, I don't know if they're here, but they're like little sticks. And they come in a pack like this. So you get a pack of these bananas. There are about 20 bananas in one pack.
Oh, no.
I ate 3 of those to carb up per day. Three. That's 60 bananas.
Holy shit.
To
Each
carb
bowl.
up. No water, some water and a little bit more. And I start blowing. I can feel it, whatever. But when I went to Frankfurt in my car, I drove to Frankfurt, right? Or had someone drive me because I was still 17 years old. Someone drove me. For the first time, I don't know what happened there overnight. It was early in the morning. I looked in the mirror, and my face looked exactly the same the way it did before my diet started. Like that. I had looked like a water balloon, bro. And my skin was itching from all the water that's coming out of my cells and floating into my, like I literally had edemas on my ankles. And this is before I'm supposed to go on stage.
Sweet. You spilled over real nice.
On the way, it's a 2-hour drive from Stuttgart, Germany to Frankfurt. I'm on the Autobahn, hauling ass, and my body is swelling up. And when I got there, I had to go to a gym down. There was a sauna. I thought maybe the sauna can help, whatever it is. Maybe it did help. I don't know. Anyway, when I competed, I took 5th place out of 10 people still, because I was so round and full. They knew I was in shape, but I was so round and full as a teenager that was like unheard of. But except Günther. When Günther came in, he took the whole thing. He won the entire show. But it was my carbohydrate experience with banana sticks, which don't ever do it. No.
You definitely spilled over, man. That's what they call spilling over.
Yeah. Well,
you probably spilled over like 1.5 packs of bananas ago, and then you finished eating the rest, and then the spill was it just wasn't stopping.
My face was like this.
Oh,
face.
Well, my eyes are like this small. Shit, can't see anything.
Yeah, buddy.
Anyway, what else? What we got left?
I forgot where we were before we told the story.
Yeah. Oh, we talked about Venice, acting, meeting Mentzer, training with Mentzer, and I'm at the point of training with him, and this is going on for maybe like about 2 months. Then I ran out of money completely, and I was in a marriage, and that didn't go so well. Oops. And the more I became Mike Mentzer's friend, so to speak, the less my wife liked me.
Oh.
Because I was constantly over at his house looking at Ayn Rand philosophy and talking politics, and she was not really into that. She was actually a complete mystic in every sense there is.
Oh.
And a wonderful person. A wonderful person. But we didn't even have time to grow together. It was just a very mystical approach. And it was a very tough person that I don't want to get involved too much about this right now, but I'm saying Mike Mentzer kept me. He was able to influence me. He said, think for yourself and know that whatever you do, you can do whatever you want as long as you use your mind. As long as you use your mind, your rational mind, you move forward. Whether it's at bodybuilding or whether it's in real life, you can do all that. And you are responsible for your own destiny, your own future. Nobody else's. Okay. No, all those things, there was many other things. He also recommended to go to a so-called psychologist shrink or whatever, which he also was visiting during his bad demonic times he had, which is a whole nother video. But he turned me on to this guy named Rex Dante, which is a philosopher, former priest, but he rejected the priesthood and became a philosophy of Ayn Rand. He set me down and he talked to me about the whole thing, and I more and more realized that I need to be on my own, do my own thing. And that's when I rejected that life of marriage. And that's when I was without anything, and I was on my own, and I was living on the beach in Venice. I made myself a little sand bed that I put together, and I slept there. And I trained with didn't train with Mike, but I trained still. But I see Mike and I visit him, and then eventually he said to me, "Look, I don't want you to live in Venice on the beach, because there's all these needles out there from all the drug addicts. Why don't you move in? Like move in, not say move in, but why don't you stay with me and live on my couch for a while and help me with all the stuff that needs to be helped with in the office. I want you to take all the heavy duty books. I want you to weigh them when they go out, and so we'll go to the post office and get the right, whatever, right? And when there's a phone consultation, they're calling. I want you to, depending who they are, put me on hold or wake me up or whatever it is. I was basically his secretary in a sense, but I never was able to really say that because there was a person by the name of Joanne Sharkey. She was still involved as his legal secretary. Where she was also taking over his estate, all these copyright issues and all that stuff. But she didn't like me at all. She really didn't like me. When I came over there and I delivered whether it was videotapes, this thing right here, and they had to wait, and I made a mistake of not weighing it correctly, whatever, she fucking went berserk on me, man. She hated me. I don't know what it was, but anyway, that was a very miserable time with her, but it was a great time with Mentzer. The more and more I got to know him, and the more we spoke, the more I became more of an individual that did his own thing and was able to really believe in myself for the first time again. I was no longer this slave to someone else's thought, and that's what Mike helped me a lot with, not just training. And then, after about a few months or so, I moved out because there are some things about it that Mike, which I will talk about in another video, has done, and but that's for later, not for right now. I want to keep the mystique going, all right? But so I had to go on my own, and now I was ready to fucking live life fully, 100% focus on my bodybuilding, get my first website going, and my first I had a computer I bought. I didn't know anything about computers. I didn't know what a folder is, what a computer screen, it was software, or what is hardware, what is anything. I was a typical knucklehead bodybuilder. And then I started to learn. I started to realize that you have to learn. You have to understand there's more than just bodybuilding. If you want to be a successful bodybuilder, there is more than just that. And I learned, and I became my own man, so to speak, right? And then eventually I left Los Angeles. The video of Mike, of course, we got to talk about this too, don't we? That was in 2001, right? So we're still friends. I come over to this house every weekend. We hang out. I got my own place. There's a few of us that hang out with him a lot. And there was a time when, he was going through some really bad shit. He fell down the stairs and he broke something in his neck at night downstairs in his condo. And he had to go to the vet hospital because he was in the Navy, and then Navy in the what was he at? Forgot what he was, but Army, whatever. But he had to go to the hospital, and once he recovered from that, we started training together, actually, me and Mike. But that only lasted for maybe about a month or so, and then he was kind of just
he gave it up. He's like, I did this already.
Right, he gave up on it, man. I mean,
there was a lot
of pain in his back, and he wanted to smoke, he wanted to have his vodka, and he wanted to chill. He wanted, he didn't want any of that stuff. He wanted to make money, and he wanted to make money and just write more, right? He wanted to write more. He was constantly reading and writing, and just talking politics or talking Ayn Rand or whatever. But anyway, so one day I get a call, and it's Mike, and he goes, "Hey, I want you to be ready tomorrow for the greatest exercise video in the world. We're gonna film tomorrow, be there at 9 a.m. I'm like, what? This is like the night. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I had no idea this is going to happen, right? I'm like, well, what are we filming? Like a workout video. I'm like, whoa, can you explain to me how? I'm like, I'm curious. Now I'm thinking like, whoa, it's going to require a script or some shit like that. You know, I'm like, what do I need to do, right? No, I'm like, no. I'm going to be narrating the whole thing, and you just come in and you be my little subject for the video. I'm like, okay, I'll come down. All right. And my buddy Jason from Canada was there with me. He was another bodybuilder, and he came to tag along with me. He had a little camera with him, and he started filming the background shit for it. And I have a lot of that footage still on my little high-end digital tapes, which I just discovered, which I also will release soon. But he met me at the gym that's called Angel City Fitness, which was about a mile away from where I used to live. I didn't like that gym very much. It was ran by someone that I didn't care for so much. It was some good machines in there and all that, but I just didn't. I like Gold's Gym. For me, Gold's was everything, you know. And it is. Gold's Gym is by far the best gym in Los Angeles, the one in Venice. But anyway, so we filmed the video and we did all that in one day. One day,
Oh, no.
bro. I'm like,
Ouch.
okay, what you want? Do you want me to hold back on some shit? Because
No.
no, don't hold back. They're gonna see if you hold back. They're gonna see that. I'm like, I could probably act a little bit. I'm like, well, do whatever you need to do, but if it's gonna look stupid, we're not gonna film. We're not gonna take it. You know what I mean? Just I'm like, fuck it, let's just go. And I did it, and man, I remember I was like,
Yeah.
I still was sore for like weeks after that, right? It was really like a painful, like you're talking about one high intensity training workout. Yeah, that's brutal, right? But doing
Three or
in
four.
one day,
Yeah, 3 in one day. Yeah.
and I'm just getting, in between, they got a whole catering service with food. I start eating, and I made sure I get some muffins in between that and some Gatorade or whatever. What else? We would sit outside sometimes. He would, of course, smoke again, and we would talk some stupid shit, whatever. And he was very, very relaxed, but also you could tell he was not himself. And he was so relaxed that I thought there was something else involved, like either morphine or, I don't know. I don't ever looked at the toxicology report, but there's definitely some. I believe there's some downers that were found, which explained why he was slurring his words so much. I don't know if you noticed that, but
I did
Yeah,
notice
in that video.
I did notice
Yeah.
that in the video.
yeah,
That his speech
There's
almost
a lot-
seems. Yeah.
yeah, it's slurred. And not just Mike was there; it was Ray too, and they both had the same sort of. And that's the thing that I realized is they both had the same slurring going on at the same time. I believe, honestly, knowing him that well, that he might have used some a combination of antidepressants and sort of morphine for pain, and he did have pain.
He was in a lot of pain. You said that earlier. Yeah.
He was in a lot of pain, and that was his back, his neck, his triceps, all that. There was tore triceps right here. All that was torn up. Yeah. And then Ray, I have a video of that as well. I mean, I'm actually speaking to Ray off the camera, on my own camera. And Ray is telling me that he had about 30 visits with the, dialysis. So it's going through active dialysis, right?
Oh, wow.
And the last one he had didn't go so well. There was something going on that the blood kind of like the whatever they put in his arm and all that didn't fit or whatever. This is some really gross story. And now in retrospective, it's pretty sad because he was talking about that he has a lot of plans, a lot of things that he wants to do, such as opening his own gym facility. That's what Ray said, Mentzer. And then Mike was like, we're gonna edit this video, we're gonna make it the biggest video, and it's gonna be like, he had a lot of plans. He didn't plan to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
If there's someone out there saying he pulled the plug himself, I don't believe that at all.
No.
I think there was a complication of many drugs involved, And as usual, this is not the only person that ever died that I knew that died from pain medications and painkillers and addictions to opiates like that. It's a really, really bad fucking thing, and it's extremely addictive. You know, and I had three clients of mine back in those days that died because of addictions to painkillers. Yeah, and Mike was certainly one of them, I think. So, yeah, that's a very bad thing right there. And yeah, so there was a lot of positive the future of high intensity training. There was a lot of things of that nature discussed. He didn't want to like make this his last video or something like that. That's not true. And he did have some addiction problems. That's for damn sure. But doesn't make him a lesser person. I think it's just
at all.
It's sad.
And it wasn't like he was partying and then going out and fucking up other people's shit. This was a guy who stayed at his house and probably had the idea that he was using these things as tools to create more and to be able to express himself more and to work harder, because that's the kind of mindset that you have, like a bodybuilder would do with his performance enhancement.
As much as I say that a lot of people always refer to steroids as being the killer, right? I think the killer is more. I mean, obviously steroids do.
They cause damage. They can cause damage. Yeah.
But when you are now going into a whole different spectrum of drugs, after you had a history of the steroid use, let's just say you stop steroids all the way together and you no longer use it. But at one point of your life, you were using them and you were extremely large. You probably reduced your size back to normal. But now you get involved in party drugs and stuff like that, right? Because now you think, let me live my life now because I'm a party animal. I don't no longer have to do bodybuilding. And a lot of bodybuilders that I know have gone through that, including myself. Except that I have never used steroids to that extent. But the other stuff I did. So because of that, I had my own demons, which I talked about, that a lot of downfalls from that. And one particular one, only a few years back, that I want to talk in my own video about this. I don't know. It's going to be too long if I'm going to put this right now.
Yeah, sure.
But it's just another one of those. It's probably the darkest time I can probably experience, actually ever experience in my life. That goes beyond me being homeless on the beach in Venice. That's chicken shit. That's chicken shit to compare to what I've gone through the last 5 years. I'm telling you right now.
This is with having a demon in your body. This is the difference.
Let's give you like a brief headline here. We're talking prison, we're talking methamphetamine addiction, and homelessness. Those three things is something I have to endure.
Most people don't recover from those three things. Like when those three things happen to a person, their chances of ever getting out of it are much lower.
I have to thank my current girlfriend for that. She's been there for me 100%, through all of this. I have to thank, of course, my family for that. Without family, you're a nobody. I don't give a fuck who's around you,
Yeah, that's
because
really
when that
true.
shit, when your shit hits the downside of that dark methamphetamine homelessness bullshit, and you're in prison and you have nobody to talk to, and if you got family, and your family will be there for that, but that's about, you got to be very, very grateful for that. Every day of my life, I'm grateful for my family, because without them, I wouldn't have been able to pull through this shit, man. And later on, of course, as I'm now climbing back out of this hole, I realized that the positive world out there with the new YouTube Mike Mentzer protocol and Mike Mentzer this and Mike Mentzer that and all that, and you guys, that's a reason why I'm back. I see it that way. You know what I mean?
Well, sure, man. You were
Beautiful way to look at it.
You witnessed and experienced the history of all of this. You know what I mean? The reason I've come to the points I am at now is from that man and what he taught. And you had an intimate relationship with this man. He changed your life by your own words. He set you up to go to the next chapter. He, showed you how to think.
Yeah. But I don't know if people know that, but probably not. Mike Mentzer at one point was homeless, just like I was.
I've heard that story.
Mike Mentzer was going through just like I was, methamphetamine addiction that left him check into a mental facility, and then later on, homelessness at the Gold Gym's parking lot, in the back of the Gold Gym parking lot. He was living in his van, station wagon, and he, I think that was like a long time. I'm not sure how long it was, but it was quite some years, not just months. This was like a long time. Basically, maybe on his own choice, he kind of like gave up on the whole thing. He deteriorated there in this parking lot, not doing any training or anything like this. But when Dorian came out and he started saying, like, you know, I'm who I am because of Mentzer's teachings, because he influenced me, right? That gave him that start, that sort of like, you know, let's get myself back out there. And that's when he's, you know, that's what helped Mike to get out of homelessness, was the fact that Dorian came along and saying that.
Yes,
I'm not sure if it's all of it, but a lot of it.
We could go back and look. So Mike was living and fulfilling his dream, and then you get to 80. And what happens at 80 destroys his entire faith in bodybuilding. You know,
right.
And, you know, he said that he was naive and didn't understand that this institution was corrupt, and he couldn't quantify or process the fact that these people would behave this way.
Right.
You know, this is supposed to be a transcendent sport where man is, overcoming his state, you know, and reaching higher and higher levels. And, you know, it started off with the heavy duty books and the training and the seminars, and he's got his best look ever.
Right.
And smash. And then there's that period you're talking about where it's the slow decline. And everyone knows it. I mean, there was the slow decline, and then there was a spark that set everything back off.
Right.
That was Dorian coming out and
you know,
giving him credit.
You know, Mike, when it comes to Arnold Schwarzenegger, he never really said anything really bad about him, and you know, because it bugged him a lot that this happened, and that Arnold was kind of like in control of that too, because he knew where every one of the judges and all that stuff, right? But he, you know, sometimes he would make a joke about Arnold, but he wouldn't make, you know, he wouldn't be like talk bad about him. But
there wasn't this bitterness that is like, it wasn't a personal bitterness. It was more of the mind, you know, your worldview was crushed. Not necessarily like, I hate this fucking guy. It's like
he combined everything at once. He said that this is a guy that promotes and speaks about his ideas of training that completely contradict what I say. And this is the guy on top, and me, I'm not the one on top. And I'm being pulled from a beta contract and the other stuff. And, you know, I kind of write for them because Arnold says this and that. And then it goes with this. And then you got him also. Mentzer, people don't know that, but Mentzer had a girlfriend that he was very much in love with. And that girlfriend left him for another guy that looks just like him.
Add to it. Yeah.
That added to it, and then of course maybe he was already using amphetamines. I think he was in the pursuit of writing books, because that's what he used it for.
And this is the stuff you could get from your doctor. I mean, you could literally ask
Adderall,
any doctor. It's Adderall, you know, which is just prescription amphetamines.
Right.
I'll be candid and tell you guys that I fucking use them every day. Makes me a better employee at work. Helps me get my shit done.
Some people have to use them because of their deficit issue, you know, like the attention deficit disorder. They have to use it. Some people
definitely helps me pay attention and be more productive. I'll say that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, what helps me?
I'm not justifying the fucking. I'm not telling people to take the shit. I'm just being open and saying that I got my shit too.
That's good. That's good. I mean, if you think if you know and you feel aware and clear-headed and all that stuff, that's great. For me, it took a long time to realize that I cannot do any drugs or any alcohol or any other shit. None of that stuff can be in my system, because if it does, my anxiety is to the roof. I am completely unproductive. I create enemies. I act like an asshole because I become extremely arrogant and I hurt myself in the process. And
There's
for
nothing
me,
good for you. There's
it's
nothing good there.
it's either none at all, and that sounds boring to some people. But for me, getting high on life and what I'm doing right now is my channel, my YouTube channel, trying to create stuff and pick up with ideas up that I want to, put together new videos. So this exact chat right now, this gets me high. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And
For
along with
sure, man.
with this Coke Zero, of course. But
there's nothing like making these connections and meeting people.
It is.
And it makes the world much more tangible and interconnected. Like I'm talking to a guy who was living with the man himself, who has changed everything for me and gave me a passion to teach, and taking my bodybuilding to the next level. And in turn, I have helped so many people by teaching this and setting them free and blowing their minds. And they're going,
so
this makes so much sense. How come I didn't know this 5 years ago? I'm pissed off now. How much time have I wasted? It's like, well, no more wasted time. Let's go forward, and there's no reward like that.
Yeah.
There is no feeling that fulfillment brings.
That's a super high, you can't get that from anything,
No, you can't. You can't smoke fulfillment. You can't snort fulfillment. You can't boof it. It's a different kind of fulfillment, but this is transcendent stuff, and drugs won't get you there.
No. They provide you. They will prevent you from getting there. That's the point. They will prevent you from getting there.
Absolutely.
They will ruin your life. Anyone's. They will ruin your life. I see so many people die because of drugs, and it starts with the bodybuilding world. You got, Paul DeMeo died of heroin, right?
Oh
right?
yeah.
Remember Paul DeMeo? You got Greg Titus. You got Greg Titus burning up his mistress or whatever here in the desert.
Yeah, that was some crazy shit.
That happened down the street from where I live, and I talked to them. I swear to God, dude, I talked to Greg and I talked to Kelly 2 days before this happened. And I see him, as a matter of fact, I see them in the car driving away from freaking Walmart, Lowe's area. I don't know. They probably bought the fucking gasoline.
They probably had the tools. Yeah, the can.
Whatever. It was some weird shit. But the fact is that I never really talked much to the dude. He always seemed to be, I didn't like his energy, and his energy was not positive, and I didn't like it. I like Kelly a lot, and we were like, because she comes from Marina Del Rey, where we are at Angel City Fitness. That's where she was a trainer at, a personal trainer, and she was a very nice girl. And then she met him, and then things started to turn south.
Wow, you just made the world so much smaller too, because now I know that she worked at the gym that the.
She was a trainer,
y'all knew each other, and it's crazy.
She was a trainer. She was a trainer there. I trained my clients there. It goes, and she was doing aerobics instruction and all little aerobic room shit, whatever, and she was trained, and she was super nice. She was dating this Asian guy who was a trainer too. They were very how can you say square.
Hokey. I was thinking hokey is what I was going to say.
Right. But then, from what I remember, Titus once, he had his Harley outside, or his whatever. He had a super bike, some really badass bike, and I had a Harley. And I see him outside Gold's Gym, and I'm like, let's ride, bro. Let's ride together. I'm like, so we riding off down Main Street in Venice and all that. Titus, and at the time I felt cool to do that. But later on, I realized that the guy was just negative. I didn't like his whole thing, And he had fights with a lot of people. He had fights with Mike Matarazzo. They had a big thing going on with him, And he made some enemies. But I want to get out. I don't want to be part of that whole scene, But so speaking back about the drug part of it, that certainly was the reason why they committed the crimes, because of that shit.
Oh, sure. High on meth. Yeah.
Anybody in their right mind wouldn't be doing shit like that. And then, and then, you got a lot of deaths because of that. Recently, just another guy just passed away. I'm not sure what the cause of it was, but, it's just the devil, man. It's fucking horrible. And I think that a lot of bodybuilders are very they're very easily put into this drug field, drug world, because for so many years, let's say you become this professional guy, bodybuilding. Everything is strict. You count your shit. You do everything perfect. And then you end up without that career. And now what are you going to do? Oh, I have all this time now. Let's live it up. And
I've never done this
all
before.
that.
I've never done that before. I've never
What?
done this before. Well, just
right.
that's
Yeah,
the
let's try it
mindset,
out.
you know?
Yeah,
I didn't have time
let's try
for
it
all
out.
that shit. So
And
hey,
then
let's try it out.
And that shit will take you down faster than you can say anything, you know. And if you live in a place like I do, Vegas, you're really fucked, you know, because you know everything. I mean, I hate to say it, you're really fucked because it's really in your head, but your head is not there when you're on drugs. That's the point. You're no longer yourself. You become someone else. You become a fucking monster. That's the problem with it. And some have the ability to do a little bit here and there, and that's cool. Some don't. You don't know that until it's too late.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, I went through my my hard drug era before I started bodybuilding, so I got it all out of
so
the system.
see, other way around. Which is
Yeah.
probably better. So this saves
Yeah.
you from being out there, being loose and doing your whatever crazy shit you did.
Well,
and now
I had stopped right before I started. It's not like I traded one for the other, but I
Mhm.
was definitely on a path of we say transcendent here because it just means I was trying to move forward and reach toward greater things.
right.
So I was kind of set in that path. And then I got into bodybuilding. So I had a nasty breakup where my woman left me for my best friend who I was taking care of basically. And it was just,
Whoa,
I had
wow,
already
Well,
stopped the drugs. And then I
that
got to that
hurts,
point
bro.
and
That hurts.
I'd become religious before that
Mhm.
happened, before the woman happened. So I decided that I was just
Right.
going to stay in this lane where I was going to reach toward higher things and just work on
Mhm.
myself and, you know, try to live a good, upright life. And decided that I wanted to get into boxing. So I figured I love boxing. And
Right.
the nearest boxing gym was pretty far away. So I figured, well, I'll get in shape first. I'll join a
Right.
gym. You know, I'm not fat or anything, but I'll build up my conditioning and my shape, and then I'll go train for boxing. And the gym owner saw how serious I was and took me under his wing after about the first week because I was training harder than everybody else in there. No matter what I was doing, I was giving it 100%. So the guy taught me how to sit down every 3 hours and eat something. And then I needed to bring all my food to work with me. And I just fell in love with the improvements that I saw, that I was in control
That's
of the
lovely.
situation.
How old are
was
you now,
positive.
man? How old are you now?
33.
See, I got you by a few years, man, you know?
Yeah. If you want me, kept asking me if I remembered the 90s. Like, no, I was there, but.
No, you weren't there. Well, you were there, but not really. But
I was there.
Around.
I showed up in 91. I didn't start understanding anything until about 2007.
oh, bro, I was already doing cocaine at that time.
Well, actually, yeah, that's probably when I started. So I should say
Jesus.
20.
I was out there doing my crazy Vegas life. You know, oh, well, coming to Vegas would be another episode, another chapter of my life, you know? I mean, this town somehow was close to LA. We're not very far, right, from LA. I just found myself going up here a lot and eventually said, no, I'm going to move because LA became very, very expensive, you know? And it's just, you know, so I said, I'm going to Vegas. This is it. I'm leaving everything behind. Mentzer's dead, right? And here's my good friend, my little social circle, my little, you know, bubble that I created with this guy and another few other guys. We were doing our weekly things together. We was always at his house and shit, but there was something, you know, besides bodybuilding. But he was no longer there, and I had no friends really. I can say I would do shit with, you know. So I left and Vegas. Yeah, well, that's not a chapter, you know. But it's a place where they always saying bodybuilding is going to be the new Vegas is going to be a new bodybuilding Mecca. It's never going to be that way.
No,
it's not.
No,
Yeah.
they have some great
I'll
gyms
care.
out there.
Now they do, yeah. The Dragon Lair you're talking about?
Yeah, Dragon's Lair. You know,
Yeah.
Milo Sarche. The people are making content
Yeah.
there, but it's Texas is where it's at, babe.
Texas is where it's at. Okay, all
Texas
right.
is where it's at. Yeah, the Dallas area, Houston, a lot of great bodybuilders coming up out of that
Yeah.
area. The scene is super competitive. Yeah, that in Florida. I mean, a lot of the top guys are in Florida.
Florida, yes, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was between Florida and Vegas. For me, it was between Florida and Vegas, and then I decided to do Vegas because Florida would have been too big of a move. I had some friends in Florida who were competing. You remember Mark Alvisi?
I can't say.
Mark Alvisi won the USA a few years back from Delray Beach, Boca Raton, I believe. He had a contract with Rich Gaspari. How can I say? I mean, he's great body, amazing arms, amazing full package. You know, he won the USA that year, 2010 or something like that, maybe.
That's a
something
few
like
years
that,
back.
Yeah, right. Shit.
14 years ago, man.
Yeah. Oh, did I ever tell you my story? I'm gonna tell you one story. I moved to Palm Springs for a year. All right. Don't ask me why. It's just, I don't know. I wanted to try different things, So Palm Springs would be cool. And I go to the gym there and I work out and I see Jean-Pierre Fuchs. Right.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
He's working out. And I look at this guy. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. What the
monster.
fuck? What are those?
I was
His
like,
legs.
what?
Like, what?
When you just go like this, like, and I'm like, well, he speaks German. He's Swiss. So I walked up to him, I'm like, hey, I see you, and like I want to say hi. I'm like, well, sure, yeah. Well, I never worked out with him or anything because he's completely different working out wise. He does
High volume,
tons of sets, right? And we became friends because there was not many people out there, and we ate together here and there, and he was always on a diet for a show when we hung out, and at the time I was really into making videos. It was like I was trying to make videos of myself working out, and I figured I had a kind of a touch to put together little training videos, and I approached him and said, let's make a training video, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm filming him doing legs and all kinds of stuff, and great. And then one day I said that I wanted to film him do his photo shoot because he wanted to do a photo shoot for Flex magazine.
That was the magazine that when it happened.
Right,
Was that the shoot happened? Oh
yeah.
My God.
So him. He's like, I got to go down to Milo's gym, right? Milo's gym, and his photo shoot, and I'll. He said that Chris Lunt said that you can't do any video stuff while we're doing the shoot. That's the Muscle Fitness or Flex, whatever. They don't allow that. So I'm like, oh man, fuck. We got, it would be great footage, right? It would be great footage after the fact, but I walked away and whatever, and then I get a call from him. He's like, Marcus, I'm not doing so well. What happened? I collapsed. I'm like, how? I'm like, well, I had like 600 pounds, 700 pounds on his back, and I'm like, why? Are you kidding me? No, man. I'm taking pictures of it right now, and I'll show it to you. And then I'm like, wow. So I went back to Palm Springs. I was on my way to LA for that, and then I came back, and then I met him at the hospital. He was laying there, and then the next day I came back, the hospital, and he was already in the gym. He was in the gym, bro. He was in the gym with his crutches, right? He's like, help me.
You can look up pictures of that. You can find
right.
Jean-Pierre.
Well, because I took them. That's why.
Yeah,
I took
Jean-Pierre
those pictures.
FUX, and you'll see there's a picture of him collapsed with a barbell on his back.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't take those pictures. I'm saying I have pictures of him in the hospital with his knees torn up, and I have a picture of him in the gym with his crutches. And he was saying, I'm getting ready for the Night of the Champions. I'm going to continue working out. I'm like, dude, you just lost both your legs almost, and you're going to do that? Unbelievable, bro. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. He tore both
I took that picture right here. I took that picture with the leg up there, with the quad, the scars. I took that picture.
That's crazy.
Oh, wow. And he tore both his patellar tendons at once, right?
Or yeah.
Or his quads.
I think that's exactly that's the tore. One was patellar tendon, I think. The other one was the quad. Don't quote me on exact details, but man,
it's a career-ending injury, though. I mean,
it is.
Jean-Pierre
Fuchs was one of the nicest dudes you ever meet. Not just that, he was a true warrior, bro. That guy trained like a fucking maniac. I don't care if it's volume or not,
right or wrong. He still gave it.
It don't matter. This man trained like a fucking beast, and with heavy weights, like hack squats with like 7 plates on each side, hack squats, after he done leg extension, after he done squats. And he would do stuff that's just unbelievable, right? And then I would go to the restaurant with him, and he would have a whey protein shake in water, a steak, and some broccoli. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is it? I'm like, yeah, man.
This is it?
Yeah, after 2 hours of training, and they would do cardio after that. I'm like,
oh my god,
I'll come back. I'll do cardio tonight, and I'll come back to legs again for hamstrings. He goes, I'm like, you gotta come back here for another 2 hours? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, whoa, bro, it's a lot of body. But hey, work for him, whatever. But I gotta tell you, because when that happened, it was shocking, and it was shocking to me, and it was absolutely amazing to see someone that is coming back from this injury now. Now he's walking in this pool and crutches, and he's trying to get himself some mobility back, right? And I'm there filming all that, right? I'm filming all that because we could do the video to the show for the Night of the Champions, but let's do a recovery video on the road to the Night of the Champions for the next year, because that's what he want to do. Do another year, take it off, get your legs back, film his first squat with 45 pounds on each side for like 1 rep. He was happy like a child, right? And then we were ready. He was ready to do the Night of the Champions. And I went with him. It was right after 9/11 happened. He went there, and I remember still seeing the towers on like the gas coming out and the fumes coming out of those towers, right, in New York. And I was there, and we're walking around, and he's doing the show, the Night of Champions, but he didn't do very well because of his legs, obviously, but everything, his upper body was tremendous. The spirit of this guy is just unbelievable. The spirit is amazing. His head and my body would have been a good competitor for that.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
To have that happen to you and then make a decision the next day. Okay, well, this is what the plan is.
Yeah, he didn't think about, oh God, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna be nobody. No. He went straight up. Night of Champions next year. I'm ready. Let's do it.
When can I start therapy?
Not even an ounce of pain shed or any kind of like nagging or any kind of like negative. I'm hurt. None of that bullshit. Fuck you. Straight up hardcore fucking bodybuilder. Period, man. Just real quick, because I talked earlier about the woman that really saved my life in many ways. That's her right here. That's Cynthia. And she wants to be on the podcast too.
No, I don't.
No, but she wants to say hello.
Hi.
She wants to say hello.
Hi, Cynthia.
Hello.
She says,
I could kind of hear him.
Good job putting Marcus back together.
so she's responsible for my resurrection.
I gotta hear all that then.
Yeah, I put that on there because I want to make sure you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you.
bringing him back.
Okay, love you.
Wow.
Okay, just a quick little intro. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
All right, now you can
I'm
go
not
back.
even like ready. Don't
No,
do that.
make me some food now, please.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Fucked up. Love you, baby. Love you.
Bye.
All right.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye bye.
Me and Gage both got women behind us that,
I got a Rottweiler dog. You don't like Rottweilers? I have a Rottweiler. Look.
Oh, I've got a pit
Dangerous.
bull.
Yeah.
Oh wow, look at that beast. Look at this
Fucking
animal,
beast, eh?
this
Yeah.
pure primal essence
The
in that
chick
thing.
magnet.
Wow.
Yeah, badass dog, man. Anyway, sorry to disrupt this whole thing, but go ahead, continue.
So you were saying earlier in the show about the competitive bodybuilder being a warrior, like having this thing inside him that you said, like, yeah, I don't have that. I'm not taking it to that level. It's something that we've talked about and noticed that, like, you can see it in the eyes, especially of a lot of bodybuilders. Like, you're talking about your intimate experience with Jean-Pierre Fu and like that kind of mentality, that kind of mindset.
Right. That's the mentality that's very rare. Yeah.
You could see it. I think you could see it in people's eyes. Like watching the Olympias over the last few years, like the look in somebody like Hadi Choopan's face.
I was about to say it.
Versus the look of Derek Lunsford's face.
Right.
It's
right,
like, and not to offend any Derek fans, but that's like a man and a child. Like just the kind of energy, the laser focus, the confidence, the animal comes out, man. It's just like to have that kind of
I
mindset.
I only
So
vis-
badass.
I had only a few people that I can tell you that I encountered throughout my bodybuilding life that had that sort of look, that possessed look, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them was Sean Pierre, and well, Mentzer, I was never with Mentzer when he was doing that time. You know, I wish I would have been born earlier so I could have seen that. But I'm
But
sure
you
he
know
had
it
it
was
too.
there.
Yeah. Well, from seeing the images and stuff and all that. Yeah. You know, seeing the videos, there's not much video footage of Mensa training.
No.
There's not really anything, really. I mean,
Not
we didn't
really.
have cameras back then. We
It
didn't
wasn't a
have,
thing.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They did have some Arthur Jones footage of him training Royal Co. But
Yeah.
I don't think particularly that was such great footage either. I was seeing I mean, even about Dorian's, I don't see there's any Dorian footage of him training Dorian. Why is there no
No,
such
just
thing
a
as
few,
that?
just a few pictures is all I've ever.
Not even
really
a video.
encountered.
Not even a video.
No,
But I'm
just a few pictures of like him
that's
on the
sad.
Nautilus girl.
That's
Yeah.
sad.
Mines are behind him.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
The that really focused driven thing. You're right about the Hadi part. I
That's
just
where
now
I see
started
it the most.
tuning into the Olympia again. I saw how much he. What do you think about his walking off the stage part of it? How do you think? How do you?
Oh, we had a whole episode on that one. I think that I've been in that position where you just did everything and won hands down, and you know that everybody else knows you won.
Right,
And you do what's required, and then you leave. And he hugged the man. He told him congratulations. That is his teammate. He shook his hand. He took a picture, and then he left. I mean, I don't.
Well,
he did everything required. I ain't gonna beat him up over it. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. He sure came back and smoked the Arnold Classic soon after, you know, to prove the point.
It seemed like at first it looked like he was just a bad loser, but
I think that was editing, because we watched the replay of it live. Like, you know, we watched it the next day, the actual footage, and it didn't look like that. It didn't look like a sore loser just walking right off stage. It's not what happened.
So it was part of the big
winner was announced, hug was given, words were exchanged, holds up arm, they take picture.
Yeah, and we talked about how his English isn't very good for him, so he still probably was like
deaf.
Yeah, and he's partially deaf. So
a lot of things
just
yeah, he's partially deaf. He's hearing impaired. He has trouble speaking because of, you know, his ability to hear.
Oh, almost Lou Ferrigno. He has the same issue, I think.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, Lou's got
yeah. He has a earpiece. Yeah. Sometimes people said things about Lou that he's a bad asshole, whatever it is, but it's not really about that. It's just he can't hear much. Sometimes he wouldn't respond because he couldn't hear much. He did, however, charge some kids for his 8x10 photograph. That's kind of
well.
Oh, that same Sulek guy. What about him? He doesn't show up for signings, right? I heard they book his appearance and then he doesn't show up, and then they go and get the money back or some. I heard something like that happening on YouTube.
I don't know. I've heard the opposite, where, you know, he would go for a 6-hour sign and then stay there 13 hours and never sit down and not eat his meals and that kind of stuff.
Really? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good for him then. That's good for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, imagine having YouTube and social media, and Mike would still be alive. That would be fucking phenomenal, wouldn't it?
It'd be great.
He would certainly be on there all day. He would be writing stuff.
Mike on Twitter, just throwing him out there.
Forget about he would be out there.
Man.
He would constantly write and read. Like I said, he was always doing some book, reading some book, writing something. And then in between that, we would just sit there and being forced to watch his Mr. Olympia defeat for the 165th time
No.
Yeah, man. He would show that
Oh,
tape
man.
every Sunday. I was there.
No.
It was
Jeez,
about-
oh, Pete.
Not on
Every time.
Sunday.
It
Oh,
was always
man.
two. It was always two things. We sit there, we eat. He would sit there in his couch, in his lazy rocker chair. He would light one up, maybe like 3 or 4 cigarettes, and he'd fall asleep for a little bit. His cigarette would be still in his hand, like it would be like dripping down here, and we had to like take it and put it away so it doesn't like the whole thing catches fire or whatever, right? So then he would eventually get up. He pours himself he'd love to drink vodka and orange juice. That was his drink.
Screwdrivers. Okay.
Screwdriver, yeah. So he would send me sometimes just to get that. He would send me across the street to get the vodka, the cheapest vodka I could possibly get.
It all
Like
gets
shit.
the job done, Marcus. It's nothing fucking
Right,
special
yeah.
about it.
And then you got the orange juice, and he would mix it up, and he had that. And then once, then it was still Olympia. He would put the tape in, and he would actually repeat the same speech all the time. He would talk about you're about to witness, the most controversial thing in history of bodybuilding, and I was a victim of that, or in that way. And I'm like, Mike, I know what I know
Like,
what's
I
going to
heard
happen.
it.
Let's just
I heard
get
it.
over with, And after he's done with that, he would go in front of the TV and he would like stand there as he poses on the stage poses. He would do this. He would do one of these, right? And I'm like, oh, but he wouldn't even, and he would go on his knees and do another one of that. And he couldn't get up, because his knees were all shot. And or whatever, he's back. And now he's back in his chair. He likes a cigarette. All right, guys, are you ready, guys? Ready for a Western? I'm like, oh, fuck. No. Dude, we had to watch the same spaghetti Western every fucking Sunday, bro. Fuck, bro.
Oh,
like,
man, dude.
With
Good
our
times.
what is it? The guy actor in there his name was Asante or something like that. Armand Asante or something like that. He had this, this high noon or whatever.
This is what the fans of Mentzer want to know is what was his favorite? What was Mike's preferred spaghetti Western? What
We
was
need
his
to
spaghetti
know.
Western?
It was.
We want to know what the movie was.
Oh, I have it.
Out.
I'm gonna watch it every Sunday.
As a matter of fact, I have it in my. I forgot the name of it, but I have it in my messenger because one of my friends, John, he sent me the actual word for it, but it's somewhere in my messenger. And if I find it to you, I'll text it to you once I find it in my messenger. Okay. It's not High Noon. It's another one. It's but the guy who played in it was Armando Asante or something like that. He was like he did a bunch of movies, spaghetti Western type, that's what he liked. He liked spaghetti Westerns. I never liked
What an
him,
American. What a great American.
That's him. That's the guy. Armand Asante. He was in the movie. Oh yeah. Is he still alive? Look it up.
He is.
Oh, he's got the. So that's one of them. One of the movies we watched, spaghetti Western wise, and then it was it's like 2 or 3 of them. It wasn't always the same one, but it was getting pretty old. The same shit all over again,
Yeah.
I don't know what he liked about it, but it was just one thing about that type of. And it was CNN, a lot of CNN. Towards the end of 2000, he thought that the whole world's going to come to an end, which a lot of people thought too because of that, 2000 shit, whatever. Whatever. He's like, nothing happened. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Right? We're still here, right? And so, think about Ray Mentzer is that some people ask me, what about Ray? What was he like? He was always sort of quiet. He never, from the times I met him, which I can count on one hand, is that he was just quiet. He was always like whatever Mike said, he agreed with it most of the time. And then he would just top it off a little bit more or whatever it is when it comes to exercise. He was certainly a strong bodybuilder. I think he was stronger than Mike, but he just wasn't as popular as Mike. He was very smart too, but not as quite the same smartness as Mike had. and quite too. I think he was just too quiet to be able to to be able to read him to that point. You know,
He didn't give you enough information to draw a
not
conclusion like that.
not at all. And Mike didn't
Yeah.
ever say anything about him either. He didn't talk about him, and then for a while he didn't say anything about him, which I thought was like, I don't think he liked him very much for a period of time, and they had a problem with each other.
Brothers
Yes.
fall out.
Right, and then later on, when this whole thing happened, so Mike moved back from his Playa del Rey condominium, which I was staying with him at. That was a beautiful place, to a nice apartment place, also in Playa del Rey. And the entire Playa del Rey section is very nice. It's almost like a front ocean area. You know, it's like right away on the beach, and it's got this, you know, typical LA, California, Redondo Beach, you know, beach living type of atmosphere. Beautiful. And he lived in an apartment with, then when Ray moved in with him in an apartment. That's why he was found dead too, in the apartment, not in the condominium.
Yeah, I was about to say that. That's when they rekindled, and then both
right. That's what
passed away
rekindled.
after.
And I don't know about the details, why they were upset with each other, what was going on at that point. I don't know. I mean, I just know that, you know, he never spoke much about him. I met him the first time we went to Santa Monica. There was a hotel there. Mike liked to go there for breakfast, and he would eat the same thing every time. He always was something about he did the same thing over and over again, right? So it was eggs hollandaise. That was his thing. That was his thing. Eggs hollandaise. He loved eggs hollandaise.
What is eggs hollandaise?
That's
on 'em?
freaking
With that
eggs.
sauce on them.
It's like eggs with like
English
freaking
muffin.
English muffin, and it's very fat. Sour cream or some shit in it. Well,
Okay,
it's
Yeah, the
very
Hollandaise
fat.
sauce is really good. Yeah.
it's super high fat, right? And he would just eat that, and his entire like beard was full of egg yolks and shit. I'm like, come on, man, clean the shit up, right? Right. Sometimes he wouldn't care because he wasn't all there. He was so in a different world. He wouldn't care, you know. That was one thing. And then Mike and him ate the eggs hollandaise, and I tried to get desperately some egg whites, you know. And then I was like, why you eat egg whites? I'm like, because I'm a bodybuilder, I eat egg whites. I'm like, you can eat anything you want. I'm like, no, I don't want to eat anything I want. I want to eat egg whites. I want to have a large egg white omelet so I can stuff myself. I don't want to have 2 eggs hollandaise. You know what I'm saying? I want
And
the
then
volume of food.
have to take away food for my next meal because I had 2 eggs hollandaise.
Well, they're fat
You
as
know?
hell. I knew they were fat, but I also was a little
yeah.
hypersensitive. I was hypersensitive towards eating anything that someone else would eat that's normal, so to speak, right? If they eat like something normal, I had to be bodybuilding food. It had to be bodybuilding food, you know. We had a place next to Venice Gold, was called Fresh and Easy. They had their own little, you know, grilled chicken with brown rice, grilled chicken with sweet potatoes, some red cheese in it. Oh, no salt, nothing. I put some sauce on that shit, right? But it was, you know, $5 back then.
Yeah, yeah.
And we didn't have us, you know, I didn't have well, I had an apartment in Venice, which is really I hate being in that apartment. It was so shitty. There was cockroaches everywhere. It's awful. But it was close to the gym. It was close
That's
to
all that mattered, baby.
It don't matter. It was close to
Yeah.
goals, man. I could walk to goals if I had no car, whatever. And I would take like I would walk to the job too, the security job. And then later on I was at goals at Powerhouse Gym. And that's everything was in walking distance, you know. My weekends were set because now it's Muscle Beach time. How much gains do I get this week? You know, let's get the oil out, you know, boom, boom, boom. I walk up there and I start pumping and looking. Everybody's checking me out, you know. Muscle Beach, right? The rundown sort of part of Venice, like the old, you know what I'm saying? And at first I thought this is going to be like a you know, the greatest discovery. You get discovered on Muscle Beach, right? Not really.
Yeah,
But
you got scoped out for sure, and then he called you over. To
Oh
his
yeah,
apartment.
it was a beautiful place to just show off, you know. Oh yeah, right. Oh yeah, man.
And he
Venice was
scoped you out all right. It was like, okay, yeah.
Fuck yeah, man.
There
I'm
he
like,
is. There's the hidden talent we were looking for, right over
all right,
there.
that's the guy right here,
That's the guy,
man. Oh, I remember one time, man. This is crazy. I just got to Venice goals, and I made my first little business card because I'm thinking like, someone's going to discover me, some modeling thing or some magazine, whatever, It wasn't really about training yet, but I wanted to have my picture on that card, and I put my address on the card where I was living. I don't know. Don't ask me why I did that, but I did. So I'm outside Gold's. I'm sitting down in front of it, and some dude walks up to me. He goes like, "Hey, you look great, man. You look great, man. Like, thanks, man. Thanks. Here's my card, man. Oh, you look awesome, man. That was it. I go home after the gym, and all of a sudden, someone knocks on my fucking door, right? This is an apartment on the beach. And I'm like, what the fuck? I opened the door. The guy's sitting there with his shirt off, standing from my door. Hey, can I come in, man? I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? He followed me, bro. He followed me from the gym. And that's the kind of shit you get out there.
Oh
That's
yeah,
the
he
kind
was
of
trying
shit,
to solicit some
Yeah, exactly.
some interaction.
Right. And here I am. I'm this naive bodybuilder. And don't ever put your home address on a business card.
On your business card?
Yeah, that's what I did, bro.
No.
That's what I did. Here my Speedo is flexing, and I got my fucking address on it.
Oh, man.
And then that's when I destroyed all those cards. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that anymore.
I'll fill you in, man. It's not much different in the social media world.
Oh, yeah?
when you have an open inbox that anyone can message.
Right, you get all this shit. I hear you.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I get solicited for that kind of shit all the time. People offer me money to fucking jack off on camera, or
fuck.
pay to watch me pose, that kind of shit. Like
buy
that,
your posing trunks.
And it even goes down as far as to be like, these guys have fetishes for being fucking bullied and degraded. Like, it's wild.
It's terrible.
It's
and
wild.
That's brought, it just kind of like reminds me of, I had some people say in one of the Facebook posts that Mike Mentzer is gay or was gay. He's not gay. He wasn't.
I
gay.
wanted to ask you about that. Because this is from an individual who has come out and made videos, or did a podcast with another guy who's now dead, who is affiliated with Tony Hughes, huge, but he was on the Leo and Longevity podcast. His name is Frank. Shit. Let's see.
Frank shit.
No.
Oh, you talking about that Leo guy? I saw that Leo guy. I saw that part.
I mean, I could try to look it up on my YouTube really quick, but that was one of the things he said, is that, obviously he talked about Mike having a drug problem, and how they would do dope together before they would go to the gym. And,
Oh, Larry Pollock. Is that who you're talking about?
Larry Pollock, yes.
I heard about
Yeah.
Larry Pollock.
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry Pollock said that, he flipped toward the end of their, training together and whatever, that,
Flip
he
what?
has
Living together and all that.
had some funny stuff going on. Like, he was into young men.
No. There's no way in the world he was. There's no way in the world he was. No, I mean, I tell you right now.
Yeah.
No,
There's just a
he's
lot
not.
of stuff. I just find that people have to attack the man's character is the most popular thing to do by those who
It
don't
is.
hold his philosophy.
It is.
And like, oh yeah, dude's
Right.
using meth for pre-workout. No, he wasn't using meth for pre-workout. He was fucking taking amphetamines, just like everybody else does, or the majority of people do when you slam a pre-workout concoction.
But he wasn't doing meth in the sense of street meth. He was doing
No, he was doing pharmaceutical grade stuff from doctors, because he would go and tell them, hey, motherfucker, I want to be able to work harder and work longer.
Right. Yeah, that's what he was never that noticeable, honestly, but he was up, whatever it is. But he was very noticeable when he was down, because once he came off that shit, he started becoming extremely withdrawn from anything. I mean, he would call my workouts off a couple of times and said that, let's go ahead and take another day off, whatever. And I'm sure that, I mean, it didn't help me or anything like this, but I'm sure that it had to do with the fact he wasn't really there. He wasn't really physically able to move or whatever he had to do to get himself going again. I know, because now that I think back, because I've been going through this myself, and I know what it's like to be on drugs, and I'm talking about actually street drugs, is that you lie a lot about shit. That you lie constantly about something, And there might be just white lies, but there's some sorts of very strong, like big lies, where you make shit up just to find out what you're doing, and that's part of being a drug user. And I think that there was the only thing when I know. Oh, I give you a story, for example. And Annette, I don't want to. I know I love Mike Mentzer, I really do. But when I say these things, I say it because I want to protect other people that might go down that same path, and even myself. I put myself out there with my drug use, and I will be putting some videos on my channel because I wanted people to know the danger of that. So when there was a big time back then in the days, there was the GHB thing going on. You all know about the GHB.
Sold it over the counter. Yeah, sold GHB
all right.
over the counter.
The Renutrient was one of the biggest sellers in Venice. Renutrient was going by bottles every day. People bought it left and right. I came across the GHB stuff because I was working for a company I was sponsored by a company called Genetic Evolution Nutrition, GEN. And this guy that put together formulas for the company, like they had pre-hormone, pro-hormone shit, whatever, all that stuff, creatine. They had something that was like a sex enhancing, right? It's called G-Spot. That was the name of the bottle. It's a little small bottle. And they made me wrap the bottles for them and help them out and fill them up and shit. And I'm like asking, what is this shit, man? Like, what is good stuff? Try it. And I did. And I'm like, holy shit, this is good, right? This GHB is what it was, right? And I'm like, wow, man, this is going to be a great seller. And it was on the sex market, so to speak, for that company. And then all of a sudden, all the health food stores had it. And I was buying it by the bottle myself then. I was using it at night to relax and all the other stuff. I didn't drink anything. I just did that, because to relax on the weekend, what it is. But when I saw Mike drink a lot, and I noticed him drinking a lot, I went up to him and said, look, Mike, I got something really cool for you. Hey, can you just promise me not to drink? Like, can I just take that bottle of vodka right now and just take it with me? And then, because he would be too lazy to get himself another bottle, can you just take it? And I'll give you that bottle right here instead. He calls me up 5 hours later. Markus, give me 2 more of those. Hey, make it 3. I'm like, what? He went to that shit like drink like water, And I'm like, oh, fuck, that's not good either because,
I can resonate with so much of like what you're saying about Mike, and his personality, that all that desire and all that passion, and then the ability to just fucking burn through and just go hard, just take off in the other direction. I was the same way too, like there was no stopping. I wasn't just I just wasn't gonna party a little bit and then chill out. Like, nah, man, we're like, let's see where the end is.
Well,
let's take it to failure.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything bad about you. I don't know you, but you have a look of a guy that is an extreme person. Extreme in the sense of like, if you do something, you're doing it to the extreme, like your training, like your sets, like your all out effort training. That's like why you are so much. That's why you like. That's why you like. That's why you like heavy duty training, and all that. That's why
it resonates with every part of my being.
Right.
My passion,
exactly.
for truth,
yeah.
My ability to go to absolute war. My love of those two things.
Yeah. So was Mentzer was the same way. Mentzer was the same way.
Absolutely was. It's the mind that came up with it. And I could just see that, on that dark note, how it's so like just totally resonant. Like, yeah, that makes sense. That's something I'd have done. Like, if you gave me a bottle of GHB and I liked it, I'd have stayed up and then called you and like, hey, could you bring some more of that shit?
I didn't get him more. No, I didn't because I knew that, if you go through a whole bottle in one day or one night or whatever it is, the next day you call me again, that's a problem. That's a fucking problem because that stuff can kill you. It could kill you. It could literally fucking kill you. Alcohol can kill you, but it's going to take a little bit longer than that. But that will instantly
probably throw up and pass out before.
Yeah. You stop breathing. Period. Oh, but alcohol.
Yeah, with alcohol, hopefully you'll just throw up.
I think you have probably a little bit more of an ability to gauge it more. But at the same time, I don't want to say anything because alcoholism is probably the worst thing in the world. The worst drug in the world is alcohol, period. I don't care about it. Cocaine, that's all nothing compared to alcohol. Alcohol is absolutely the worst drug. Yeah. The withdrawal from an absolutely lethal withdrawals.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah. I worked in a jail. I watched people withdraw. You would almost die from withdrawing from alcohol. It was worse than meth or any other withdrawals. Yeah,
Heroin make you
alcohol
sick,
was
like
the worst.
alcohol's
Yeah,
they call
which
them
is crazy.
delirium tremens.
delirium
the DTs.
tremors. Yeah,
Yeah.
Man,
Bad,
it's
bro.
crazy.
brutal.
It's crazy.
Absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
So we were kind of saying that, what we hear of and what a lot of we encounter in our circle, when we're trying to teach training and show people the way and where the way came from, there's always the attacks on, there's always attack, what we call character assassination. And that's a tool for dirty debate. And that's something that comes up a lot. And I think that these conversations we're having are very valuable on the show tonight.
Yeah.
And it's that to establish that this is a separation from the man's character. This is something the man dealt with, and it doesn't take away from any of the work or what he taught or all of the positive aspects about him. And,
Right.
you're speaking from it yourself, the way he changed your life. I mean, directly,
Right.
set you up to go somewhere else and in your life. But that's what we're always hit with is like,
I have to tell you something. I have to tell you something.
He was always on dope or whatever.
My downfall, my demons, my stuff, whatever happened to me now in the last couple of years, I didn't like copy it from him or anything like this. I didn't. No, it wasn't. It just happened to be the same way because I naturally liked him because of the fact that I very much thought I like him, and I probably had the same what you call. It's easier for me, someone like me and someone like Mentzer, to get trapped in this shit than for other people. Maybe it is, because of that. What we just talked about, the extreme type of characters we both have. You have it, and in his case, he didn't have any friends to pull him back because he didn't surround himself with a lot of people.
And true too. I mean, if you look at the course of his life, the
And
direction it took after 80, he didn't believe or have faith in anything else around him anymore. And it was a reclusion. No. So, I mean, he just walled himself off. And then when you're walled off,
he had no friends. The only friends that I know of him, there was an officer, a former cop that actually arrested him because of his psychotic episode he had. And this same guy became one of his best friends. And I don't know what happened to that guy, but he was a very nice dude. He was always around. Forgot his name even. I know I can ask my friend John. He knows his name. But he was always around. Tall dude, looked like a cop, and he always kind of like, I've been watching over Mike after I arrested him, and I thought that because, I knew who he was when I arrested him. And then once he came back, I wanted to make sure he's on the right path, and he was like really taking care of him. I mean, I'm going to find his name too, but there was that, and I met him a couple of times, and
man was not meant to be alone. I mean, in the Bible, God made
I totally agree.
He wasn't meant to be alone.
Agree with you. I totally agree with you.
We're social. We're social animals, and when we're
you can sit here and say all this by yourself, and you want to be camping in the RV by yourself, all this shit. Yeah, well, it might be good for a little while, but your psyche, your entire makeup, it needs to be around people. You need to be around people. Friends.
I was going to get into philosophy, and Mentzer was a proponent of Nietzschean philosophy, and that encompasses the underman and the overman in the same body. And when you don't have the external, the external stimulation of that overman, and the willingness to pursue that higher self, and because you're seeing it in other people and they're feeding it and everything else. If you're by yourself after all of these horrible circumstances, then that darker part of you is going to be running free in your head. It's going to be the one talking to you the most. It's going to be the voice you hear the most. And
I'm not sure if it would have been different if he had a bigger support system. But then again, he wasn't really the guy that would let you know that he needed one. He wouldn't. He would say enough is enough. when I was over his house, he said, Marcus, now you got to go, please, because I got some work to do. He didn't say, hey, stay around. I felt like whatever I felt like doesn't mean that what he needed. But I'm saying at the time, he was sitting there by himself and all the time, he was alone. I felt like, I don't know. I just what to tell you, but he didn't let anybody in except a few people. And those are the people that kind of like were on the same path and the same way of mindset. Ayn Rand philosophy, Nietzsche, that sort of thing. Not the typical, idiot that you see at the gym walking around and, musclehead, meathead, whatever you call them. It's like, he didn't have anything to do with that. His
We
family
talk
wasn't
about
around
this
either.
a lot on the show, and that's kind of where my philosophy personally differs, from objectivism and materialism into more of, I keep using the word transcendent, but almost even the sense, if you could use the Mannerbund as the example of the brotherhood in which everyone works towards a greater collective. And I'm not talking about some fucking hippy dippy communism bullshit. I'm talking about having a tribe of badass dudes who have great minds and think alike, and they're all working to propagate their ideas and their family and their town, and then that town is the state, and then the nation. It's not nationalism as well as naturalism, but it's in pursuit of a more transcendent ideal. And I think that perhaps if he could have been exposed to philosophies like that, instead of the ones that are so self-focused. Because when you're constantly thinking in that train, you are the only one.
Right.
And
you
just
limit yourself to others. Yeah.
Yeah.
You withdraw from others.
Withdraw from others. Right.
I found that he withdrew himself. He did that a long time, and he didn't approve anyone else that would think differently. So therefore, there was nobody there, and he was alone. And he didn't realize how much alone he was until it was too late. I think.
And a big problem with that is if you start off with the preconception that you think how this other person thinks, you've already shut them off.
Right.
So when you're in your own head all the time and you're thinking these thoughts, you're projecting them out on everybody, whether it's not true or not, in relation to them. So you might preemptively isolate yourself.
He would go into very extreme philosophical rants. And when I mean Ayn Rand rants, like he would go into the individualism versus the collective. He would go into, and there's a lot of good things about that I learned out of it and took out of it and helped me a lot. But then I also see that how it can alienate other people that are not on the same on the same page. That might be on a different page. It's whatever works for them, but also, what can I say? It doesn't make him so much wrong or anything like this. It's just different, and he would agree with that. He would completely make it a black and white issue between that. And I did the same thing. I did the same thing because I believed what he said, and I felt like this guy knows everything, and he does know a lot. But there were some issues where I thought that I followed on the same steps where I alienate people too that are not, they don't believe, especially in a collective, in objectivism or sort of the whole, Ayn Rand stuff. And then, not everybody read Atlas Shrugged. He read it probably every day. There were some really cool things about it, like I said. But then with this whole thing about him being alone, dying alone, it's a result of himself closing off anything else. I think
it's truly tragic.
Yeah, it is.
It's tragic, and I think
he could have come up to Arnold and say, "Hey," or I don't know. Even I think Arnold actually wanted to reach out to him at one point, and he kind of shut that down too. He kind of shut him down.
Yeah,
okay?
Hey, the guy was watching the defeat every Sunday. It was still.
There's a lot of going on with that. I want to add this real quick before I leave because I do have to leave soon.
Yeah, it's been going for a minute.
I have plans with her to do some Grimaldi's pizza tonight. That's what's going on. I don't want to. I don't want to make you. I don't want to tell you this because I know you're still eating good. But I'm gonna have a large pie of Grimaldi's pizza tonight. And real quick, I thought that it would be a great idea to maybe talk to Arnold Schwarzenegger about this whole thing a little bit. Like maybe get him on the podcast, or I would love to meet him again. I've met him a couple of times, but I have
I don't
people that
think
know
that
him.
would happen.
You don't think so?
No.
Why not?
We've-
Why not? Why not?
I
Why
mean,
not?
we've done some very critical videos of some of the Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff. Well, not actually him personally, but when it was spoken of, the way he trained was being applauded, and then we break it down.
No, I don't want to care. I don't care about Arnold talking about how he trained. I know there's not gonna, I'm talking about the fact what happened with you and Mike. What actually went down. Well, that's what I want to talk about. What were the dynamics, especially how did you get along with him or not get along with him, or was there anything that you want? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it sounds pretty much it sounds futuristic to even talk about that, right? But
it sounds like way out there. I'm sure Arnold is like a 33rd degree Mason, and I don't have access to him. I'm sure.
No, Arnold is very humble
paid
these
my
days.
dues.
He's not the same as he used to be, right? Arnold is
I don't
very
know,
humble
man.
these days.
I just know when you can just tell a bunch of people who are saying fuck this fake virus nonsense, and you tell them screw your freedom.
Screw your freedom.
I'm like my opinion of you is screw you.
I thought it might be a neat thing to have him say something about,
It would be very interesting. I'm just super skeptical because I'm just little old me, and like that's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I'm skeptical too. It's probably never going to happen, but I just thought I'd throw it out there.
Well, what we could do, I was thinking to say, since this is pre-recorded, we could release this episode, man, build up the hype with it. We had you on the show.
Yeah.
You told us all kind of details that everyone
Right.
may have been unaware of, putting
Yeah.
the whole piece together, this whole history of bodybuilding in the 90s and where you were. Who is this man? Who was the man behind this man, and it's all been pieced together tonight. It's really good. And what we can do is get a bunch of viewer questions.
Right.
Then we could talk, the viewer questions, and then we could talk training, our philosophies on training, how we approach it. And really, because what's going to happen is we're going to have the same exact thoughts on it. And those are the most beautiful conversations. When we had Humberto on, other guests we've had on. We're all the same people with that same mind. It's a beautiful thing.
When are you going to release this whole?
Probably Friday.
Yeah.
Friday, okay.
Yeah,
all right,
Friday.
because I'll be working Friday. I have a second job, okay. I mean,
yeah,
I'll call it,
limos, right?
I can't call it my second job because it requires me to be there for 40 hours a week. So it's really a main job. But I'm a chauffeur. I drive limousines for a very, very big, probably the biggest limo company in the world. And what I do when I do rides, sometimes I have like times between where I can just sit there and have my phone on and do my little videos myself or do whatever I can do, right? Or watch YouTube. Because it's not always busy. Sometimes it's not, You might have 3 or 4 rides a night. Sometimes you have like 5 rides a night. You have maybe 2 or 3 rides only. But it is what it is. And, it's a good extra source of income, So you got to do what you got to do these days, man.
Trust me, man.
Right.
I thought about taking some of those dudes up on those offers sometimes. I'll tell you what. I almost say, hey, man, Bill, you just got to do what you got to do, babe.
Don't do it.
Don't do it, Marcus says.
No, don't do it.
Yeah, I'm still holding on to coaching. I'm still taking clients, guys.
You look like you will just do fine the way you do what you already do. By the way, I just noticed you have a name. And
I have a name.
Mr. Heavy Duty. I like that. And you got the Natty Duty hit. I like that too.
Mr. Natty Duty.
That's Natty
like
Duty.
That.
They call me Mr. Heavy Duty. I didn't.
No, that's good. I like that. Yeah, I like that. I think that I just I had a website for the longest time. It was Mr. High Intensity, but I let it slip, and then they took my name and sold it off, whatever. And now I just put another one on.
You were around in the 90s, so I'm sure you've heard of that nerdy tabletop game where the nerds, they paint the models and they play the game, the board game. It's called Warhammer.
Warhammer? No.
Okay.
No, sorry, I didn't.
Probably not in the middle of Vegas, but that's where the Primarch title comes from.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Primarch. I like it. It's really good. I like your videos. I like the way they filmed. It makes you really seem like you're in the gym with you guys, and it's real. You know what I mean? It's no yeah, it's really good. Good quality videos. I love it. Yeah, I'm gonna watch some more after this. After I get my pizza.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. It normally is just me. I don't have a cameraman. I got a tripod.
You do it good. Yeah, you don't need much more than that, huh?
My wife's not very good at filming, so I just do
Oh,
it myself.
tripod works fine. I mean,
It's doing good.
that's all
I
you
got
need.
this cool one that I can wrap around stuff. It's got like
Yeah.
3 little octopus arms.
Little thing,
And-
yeah.
And I'm playing with that more and more, getting new angles that I'd never got before. And it's pretty good.
Right.
I got some
it's-
good stuff to send to Eric when we get off the
that's
caster
a
tonight. Well,
good little gadget there, you know. But you got every gadget in the world nowadays. You got everything out
yeah.
there.
So
Fuck.
that's what we'll do. We'll drop this, and we can see about getting you on another time. We could do a little questionnaire because I've got
We'll
some
do-
questions from a chat. A lot of them we kind of answered in the course of our conversations. So what I'll
Right.
do is give it more time. I wasn't exactly sure that everything was going to fall together tonight, so I didn't really have a whole lot of time to collect or share it around
Right.
because I just wanted to be sure it was even going to happen. So we
Okay.
have this in the bank. We'll drop it.
Is-
We'll get some more.
Is there a way I can put that on my YouTube as well? Is that possible, or somehow linked to it, or what?
Sure.
Yeah, Eric could probably send you a file, or I don't know if you could
That'd
do a
be
joint
awesome.
video, collab,
That'd
or
be
something
awesome.
like that. But absolutely, we
We'll
can
figure
handle all
it
that.
out.
So let's plug in your stuff for the viewers who've made it this far into the video.
Yeah.
Where can we find you? What are you doing?
So
What platforms are you on?
I got the YouTube channel. It's called at High Intensity Life. That's my channel. There's other YouTube channels that I have opened a long time ago. I can't access them anymore, but this is the one. This is the exact one that I just started, and I'm trying to grow that thing. You know, I have a website which is highintensitycoach.com, where I offer my training services, my customized programs, virtual workouts. I have a training book on there, which is called the program, High Intensity Training Program. I got a video that I produced myself. It's called The Future of HIIT. Also available on my site. Yeah, I have all that. So, yeah, I mean, the website is just also pretty new again. You know, like I said, oh yeah, you can also become a member if you want. Sure, that's my website.
Awesome. So High Intensity Life on YouTube, and we've got
yes.
highintensitycoach.com. Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
You got in it early because you got the good names, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I just
Hey,
registered. I just got another name that I registered. It's called highintensitytrainer.com. Can you imagine that name was available? I'm like, what the fuck? High intensity trainer, not training, but trainer.com. So I use both of them, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's fears warped them. They just thought that wasn't possible. They couldn't get that name. They never tried.
Oh, you got to sometimes try, right? A lot of them I used, but I like to be it with a .com name because I like to keep it that way. So whatever, you know, it's always an idea. Oh, another thing I want to also plug, which is my art. I'm an artist. I create art pieces. Like I can show you a little example if you want to see it. Hold on. I got over 400 drawings, you know, that I did. And that's one of them.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my drawings. And then there's
I like the gears.
400.
Wheels within wheels.
So I don't want to
Oh,
showing
sick.
time, you know,
Yeah.
like a time lapse, time's flying, and you know your
Time
destiny is in front of you, right? And
He's going into the singularity to
yeah, there you go. That's what I meant the singularity of it.
yeah.
And it's always good to think outside the box, you know.
That's dope.
Yeah, these are good.
Outside the box. And then I got some more stuff that's more. I like a lot of space stuff too. This one is not finished yet, but it's like a sort of a sphere.
It's a
Yeah.
skeleton.
This will light up
I
at
like
night
that
when you
one.
put a blue light on it. Like you put a black light on it, it will light up, right?
Oh,
I
sweet.
like the
And that one is a good one too. Don't ask me
man.
what I'm thinking here. You know, it's just really weird, and I like weird. So it's got the disco ball and the naked shake and all that, and then it's got the umbilical cord.
I thought she was a mushroom. and it was like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
psychedelic piece.
It's really difficult to say what it is. It's for me. It's just all happens it all happens in here, and I got like over 400 drawings that I want to publish, and I want to maybe sell them. Who knows? You know.
That's pretty cool,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of things you could do. You know, hey, the fans come.
I
they
didn't
wanna
I didn't
support
know
you,
I
you
didn't know I can
can
do
send
it.
them
I
off
didn't know.
with something.
I didn't know
Send
if
them
I
off
can do it or not. I was my 49 years old. That's when I realized I can draw. Overnight, it just popped up. You know, I'm like, fuck, I can draw. It's crazy. You know, I started doing it. It's all practice.
I recently started painting, like I was telling you about painting
Oh, okay.
miniatures. So
Is the
I
one
do-
behind you? Is that a painting? What you did?
oh no, that's not something I
Oh,
did.
okay.
I paint miniatures, like scale
Oh.
figures.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very interesting. You know, playing with lighting,
Oof.
shading, your color gradients. I mean,
You gotta
different
show me
tools you're
sometime. You
using.
gotta show. Is there a video about that? You have a video of it?
Oh, I don't have any videos of me painting. I could pull out
Because-
some of my pieces one time, maybe show you, but it's
The beauty-
might be
the
too
beauty of it
cringe.
is-
might die of cringe.
Who would have thought that a guy the size you are paints something that small or that precise and that delicate?
I love it. You talked about fulfillment and the things that get you high and make you feel good.
Yeah, that's it.
When you start
Yeah.
off with pieces of plastic on a sprue board, and you have to
Right.
cut them out, file them, glue them all together. Then it starts off as a
Yeah. Oh,
plastic
wow.
gray figurine, and then you base it. And then you start laying in paint. You start boxing
Uh-huh.
everything in. You start creating shading. You start using washes. And you have something that looks like a scale down piece of reality where you've
Right.
created textures
Interesting.
and you've created color. You've created lighting artificially. You've made object source lighting, for instance, is a really cool one, to make something look like it's casting out light, but it's not. It's just
That's
paint.
amazing. I gotta see that.
Yeah,
I
it's
gotta
so
see
sick,
that.
man. It's like so
Send me,
cool.
Send me a picture of text it to me if you can. All right.
I'll
Well,
pull one out and text it to you.
guys,
Yeah, we're
I'm
getting
gonna-
late. We're having too
I'm
much
gonna go
fun.
get my pizza now. Okay. Good shit. Let's do another one soon and let me know when. Okay.
This was a pre-recorded episode of the IconoCast. I hope you enjoyed meeting Mr. Markus Reinhardt and hearing about bodybuilding in the 90s and the late life of our dearly beloved Mike Mentzer. Join us again on another episode. We'll have Mr. Markus back, and we'll start talking shop. We'll start talking meat and potatoes, training, nutrition, bodybuilding shit. Markus was a bodybuilder. Duh, didn't you get that? Well, we'll see you then. Natty Duty on the IG, Primary Billy on the IG, Mr. High Intensity Coach on the IG, Producer E only, exclusively on the IconoCast channel, guys. We are out. We'll see you next Friday. Peace.
Peace. Bye, guys.
In order to train as hard as possible, you must retain a clear image of your purpose. Once your goal is sharply but realistically defined, all that remains is carrying out your plan. Don't, however, worry about your individual potential. Potential is only the expression of a possibility, something that can be assessed accurately only in retrospect. In other words, you'll never know how good you might have become unless you try. So let's get with it.
You said I can't